Любительки та любителі Кліо, вже за мить до нас постукає у двері одне з найбільш комерційних свят західного світу. Ні, не Різдво, а Геловін, або ж День всіх святих, або ж Самайн, або ж мексиканське три в одному. Дía de las Brujas, Día de Todos los Santos, Día de los Muertos. А для мене це новий епізод Сімпсонів. Сьогодні мова буде про найстрашнішу ніч на землі, та не лише про неї. І думаю, я вас здивую. Тому вйона шабаш, і ні, ви від нього не втечете, адже повсюди вас переслідують страшні гримаси на гарбузах. До речі, а ви знаєте, звідки взявся цей символ Геловіну? Так? Тоді послухайте ще раз одну з інтерпретацій ірландської старовинної легенди.
Одного разу любитель закинути за комір, жадібний Джек запросив диявола випити з ним. Останній залюбки прийняв запрошення, адже кінець року і треба виконати норму по душам. Під час задушевних розмов під чарочку односолодового сталося так, що наш герой Джек не заплатив за напій, бо або був жадібний, або на хрестик не хотіли писати. Тому він попросив диявола перетворитись на монету, щоб розрахуватися за випивку. Люцифер, як любитель давати в борг, зробив це. Але Джек, зрозумівши в момент прозріння, з ким п'є, схитрував і поклав диявольську монету в кишеню поруч із срібним хрестом. Тому нечистий не зміг повернутися до своєї форми. Після недовгих торгів Джек звільнив диявола за умови, що той не буде чіпати його протягом року. І навіть якщо ірландець помре, то Люципер не забиратиме його душу. Такий собі безвідсотковий кредит зі страхуванням. За рік вранішня зоря вирішив побавитись в колектора і вибити з Джека борг. Останній погодився з законними вимогами, але попросив рогатого залізти на дерево та зірвати йому яблучко. Так би мовити, виконати останнє побажання. Диявол через доброту душевну погодився. І коли був на дереві, Джек вирізав на корі хрест, щоб Люципер не спустився, поки не дасть обіцянку не чіпати нашого героя взагалі. Незабаром Джек помер. Бог, переглянувши резюме нашого героя, не дозволив йому піти до раю. Диявол, тримаючи слово та пам'ятаючи минулі зустрічі, заборонив Джеку спускатися до пекла. Але через великодушність він відправив ірландця в темну ніч, давши йому тільки палаючу вуглинку, щоб освітлювати шлях. Джек поклав подарунок у вирізану ріпу і відтоді блукає по землі.
Геловін для нас, правовірних християн і дітей Перуна, є чужим і прийшов на наші землі завдяки західній попкультурі та глобалізації. Ну, так кажуть старі люди. Історія цього праздника, як і будь-якого древнього свята, наприклад, Івана Купала, є надзвичайно складною, заплутаною і частенько альтернативною. Сьогодні в наукових колах досі тривають дискусії, чи Геловін християнський, чи все ж язичницький. Найпоширеніша версія – язичницька, і корінням своїм сягає часів кельтів. До речі, ці племена проживали на території України задовго до слов'ян, тому, можливо, Геловін не такий чужий на нашій землі. Це свято у кельтів має назву Савань або Самайн. Для них він був таким собі новим роком. Хоча на рахунок цього теж сперечаються. Відзначали Савань на честь закінчення збору врожаю протягом 7 днів, віддаючи шану богам. Також ворожили, стрибали через багаття, друїди кидали у вогонь рештки тварин, щоб потім по візерунку і тріщинкам, які з'явились на кістках від полум'я, віщувати майбутнє. Кельти приносили в жертву тварин та, можливо, й людей. Але є одне але. Чи святкування проходило ось саме так, сказати важко, адже записи про Самайн з'являються лише в 9 столітті. І зроблені вони ким? Правильно, середньовічними інселами, монахами. Адже в 5 столітті Ірландія була хрещена святим Патриком, день якого ми теж любимо відмічати. Окрім свята врожаю, на Самайн кельти вшановували і предків. Святкування відбувались біля курганів чи інших поховань, в яких племена вбачали портали в інший світ. Древні вважали, що межа між потойбіччям і реальністю стиралась саме в ніч з 31 жовтня на 1 листопада. Власне, тоді душі померлих родичів приходили в гості до живих. Кельти частували їх їжею та напоями, для них накривали місце під час вечері. Це робилось з вдячності і задля допомоги, щоб люди та худоба пережили зиму. Древні розуміли й іншу річ, що крім добрих духів, в цю ніч приходили і злі, щоб забрати людей, які порушували правила предків. Щоб обдурити нечисть, кельти надягали шкури тварин, а помешкання захищали оберегами. Наприклад, ліхтарями, вирізаними з овочів, ріпи чи брукви, але не з гарбуза, оскільки тоді вікінги ще не знайшли Америку, а Колумб її не запатентував. Чи то був Америго Веспуччі? В нас, слов'ян, обереги від злих духів були крутіші. Ми просто закопували під порогом рештки спочившого в мирі предка.
За Тимоджена такої хуйні не було.
Самайн був святом одночасно для всіх народів Британії, але в залежності від регіону мав свої відмінності та традиції. На острові Мен Самайн називається Хоптунає. Тут замість гарбузи навіть сьогодні улюбленим овочем залишається ріпа. Основною забавою були танці, спів та випрошування гостинців. Ну, нехай буде таке собі колядування. Люди співали традиційні пісні навколо будинків, особливо заможних, і за це очікували подарунків у вигляді солодощів, традиційного хліба боннах, чи навіть оселедця або грошових донатів. На острові надзвичайно поширене ворожіння.
Вночі попіл від багаття розгалуджували в печі, щоб отримати відбиток ноги. Якщо наступного ранку слід вказував на двері, хтось у домі помре. Але якщо він був повернутий в іншу сторону, це було знаком народження дитини.
Моє улюблене гадання –
Це викрасти у сусіда солоного оселедця, запекти його вночі на вогні, з'їсти мовчки і лягти спати, а на ранок слухати крики сусіда. Перше згадане ним ім'я буде у вашого майбутнього обранця чи обраниці. Або ж сусід пізніше начистить вам ріпу.
У Уельсі 1 листопада відзначають свято Кален Гаяєв, або перший день зими. За день до нього влаштовували велике застілля, яке готували лише жінки. 1 листопада валійці уникають цвинтарів та перехресть доріг, оскільки там зазвичай тусуються духи. Особливо страшна нечисть – це
Йр, хвич, ду, гвда.
that Yerhuchzvuguta.
Дух, що прийняв форму чорної свині і бродив полями в супроводі безголової жінки.
валійці теж люблять заглянути в майбутнє.
Люди розпалювали багаття та залишали камінці зі своїми іменами. Чий камінь зникає, той помре впродовж року.
Якщо в ніч на 1 листопада покласти кілька листочків плюща під подушку, то наступного дня можна побачити відьом, а за іншою версією – свою майбутню дружину. І ні, я не жартуватиму.
Dođi na doručak s Alfrom. Ukusno u zdravom doručku. Tako ukusno.
Дівчата, до прикладу, мали зазирнути в люстро, тримаючи в руці свічку, щоб побачити обличчя майбутнього нареченого, або ж череп, що означав смерть протягом року. Незаміжні також чистили яблуко, а шкірку кидали за плече. Тоді панінки дивились, на яку букву ця шкірка схожа, і це мала бути перша літера імені майбутнього чоловіка. Я можу навести ще кілька прикладів Геловіну, ну хоча б Алантиду в Корнуолі, але насправді вшанування померлих в цей день було не лише у кельтів, просто так історично склалось, ну і, звісно, правильний маркетинг. Паралельно Британії подібне свято є у Фінляндії та має назву Кекрі, яке відзначалось в честь одноіменного бога, покровителя полів та худоби. І фест тривав від 29 вересня аж до 31 жовтня. Лише у 19 столітті його почали святкувати 1 листопада. Дослідники теж не знають на 100%, як проходив цей день в Фінляндії до її хрещення в 11 столітті. Але в цій країні трапилось неможливе. Адже на місцеві свята вплив мала якраз народна релігія, а не християнство. Віра в єдиного Бога мало що змінила, оскільки ще на початку ХХ століття Кекрі був популярніший за Різдво. На святковому столі традиційною була баранина, а поласувати смаколиками запрошували не лише померлих, але й інших духів, наприклад, ельфів.
Святкування кекрі починалося з ранкової сауни, щоб навіть мертві або ельфи встигали викупатися. Тільки після них мились домочадці. У банці заборонялося їсти чи пити.
Праздник супроводжувався жертвоприношенням худоби, багаттями та ритуальною заготовкою м'яса на зиму. Фіни теж робили ліхтарі з ріпи, але називали їх терновим колоском через малу кількість світла. Так само, як і в Британії, тут було поширене ворожіння, але з можливістю змінити майбутнє, виконавши відповідний ритуал у потрібний час. Як гадали на кекрі?
Один із святкуючих виходив на вулицю і заглядав через вікно в оселю. Якщо хтось із присутніх, здавалось, не має голови, то йому судилося померти в наступному році.
Кекрі супроводжувався пиятикою. Цей звичай був свого роду ритуалом на хороший врожай. Проте норму слід було знати. Наприклад, існувало повір'я, що якщо наступного літа щось в господарстві ламалось, це означало, що господар насвяткувався до ельфиків. До речі, в одному з відео я згадував про найстарішу пивоварню віком в 13 тисяч років, знайдену в печері Ракефет, що у Ізраїлі. Вчені вважають, що пиво варили саме для ритуальних бенкетів на честь померлих, адже залишки продукту були знайдені в похованнях. Спільним для святкування фінів та британців було те, що вони закінчували сезон збору врожаю та починали цикл зими нового року. Схожість деяких традицій можна пояснити географічною близькістю. А як щодо іншого континенту? Ольмеки, майя та ацтеки вшановували богиню мерців Міктекакіуатель ще 3000 років тому. Вона володарює у 9-му пеклі, відповідає за кістки померлих, збір їх душ, а перед світанком поїдає зірки. З попереднього відео про народи до Колумбівської Америки ви знаєте, що місцеві донатили богам собі подібних найрізноманітнішими методами, але після ритуалів вони сумлінно дбали і про поховання. Практично для кожної особи в залежності від віку і статі існували свої обряди. Куди потрапить душа померлого визначалось не за принципом, як поводилась людина за життя, а саме в який спосіб вона покинула цей світ і який ритуал поховання був проведений. Наприклад, у майя старі люди, що залишили цей світ природньо, після смерті повертались у вигляді тварин. У ацтеків, якщо ти теж покинув землю натурально і спокійно, то потрапляв в темне пекло, з якого немає виходу.
До раю потрапляли лише загиблі в бою, полонені, яких приносили в жертву, і жінки, які померли під час пологів. Через 4 роки вони повертались на землю у вигляді птахів з красивим, різнокольоровим пір'ям.
Рай у доколумбівських народів – це місце радості, де шанувалось сонце, а життя супроводжувалось музикою, піснями та танцями. З приходом християнства ці багаті ритуали навколо культу предків та смерті перетворились у Діа де лос Муертос, яке відзначають 1 і 2 листопада. На відміну від більшості сучасних культур, в Мексиці вшанування мертвих – це не день скорботи, а навпаки величезна радість, оскільки предки в кращому світі і їх не переслідують проблеми на роботі, глобальне потепління, колишні чи кредитори. В цей день відбуваються справжнісінькі фестивалі. Люди споруджують вівтарі на честь померлих родичів, прикрашають будинки цукровими чи шоколадними черепами, улюбленими напоями чи стравами покійних. До речі, майя і ацтеки тримали в оселях справжні черепи родичів. Кладовища прикрашають стрічками та квітами, а шлях до будинків померлих родичі заставляють свічками, щоб мерці могли знайти дорогу. У фестивалі участь беруть цілі родини незалежно від віку. Жінки створюють образ Катріни, елегантного скелета, популярного в мексиканській культурі. Деякі мексиканці вважають, що саме так має виглядати богиня ацтеків, ім'я якої я не можу вимовити. Учасники параду оточують себе чорнобривцями або ж фльор де муерто. Ці квіти мають приваблювати кольором та запахом померлих, щоб вони приєднались до святкувань. До дітей на могили приносять іграшки та солодощі. Для дорослих найпоширенішою жертвою є пульке, мескаль та текіла. в основному це загальні традиції для всієї Мексики, але як і всюди, кожна частина країни має й особливі традиції.
Наприклад, жителі міста Помуч перед святом виймають кістки померлих родичів з могил і буквально перемивають їх. Потім викладають на вівтар, загорнувши їх у вишиті серветки, а після несуть на цвинтар. Люди вірять, що таким чином їхні близькі відчують турботу та отримають спокій.
Ну і на завершення слов'янський поминальний день Дяде. Їх відзначали 2 рази на рік – весною 1 і 2 травня та восени з 31 жовтня на 1 листопада. Найважливішим для наших предків було нагодувати та напоїти душі померлих. Застілля робили в хатах або на кладовищах, часом навіть на самих могилах. В деяких місцевостях предкам потрібно було дати можливість викупатись в лазні. До речі, коли ми кажемо «йди в баню», то насправді це буде страшніше, ніж відправити людину на 3 букви. Сауни насправді були місцем надзвичайно нечистим, але водночас мали цілющі властивості. Справа в тім, що у банях відбувались різні речі: ворожіння, наведення порчі, веселі забави молодих до шлюбу, народження дитини з усіма попутними виділеннями. В банях позбувались небажаної вагітності. Ну і, звісно, змивали бруд з тіла та багато чого іншого. Саме тому це місце й вважалось нечистим. На місці лазні заборонялось будувати будинки. Для сауни придумали спеціального духа – банника, який мав стежити за порядком та виганяти нечисть, часом шкодити людям, але про це іншим разом.
На болоті лазня зрубана, за сиром бору катана, на лютих звірах вожена, на проклятому місці поставлена.
Під час дядів важливим було багаття для освітлення шляху мандрівним душам, щоб вони не заблукали і могли провести ніч з живими родичами. Залишки цього звичаю – це сучасні свічки, запалені на могилах. Палили вогонь і на перехрестях, щоб запобігти народженню демонів з душ людей, які померли наглою смертю, або ж вкоротили собі віку. Важливу роль відігравали жебраки, яких також називали дятами. Вони вважались посередниками з потойбічним світом, тому люди просили їх помолитись за душі предків, даючи за це улюблену їжу померлого або гроші. Чому саме жебраки – невідомо. Можливо, через зв'язок з Бадзулою, духом, схожим на жінку, що змушує людей бродяжити. Вона блукала по дорогам та полям, а ближче до зими обирала жертву і чарами руйнувала життя. Коли все йшло шкереберть, нещасний починав закидати за комір, пускаючи все на вітер. Коли демон наситився, то покидав жертву, а людина залишалась жебраком. Можливо, делірій – це спосіб комунікації з потойбіччям. Ну, не будемо про сумне, і на сьогодні це... християнство. Християнський Геловін, що буквально, але скорочено означає День всіх святих, починається з 5 століття, а перша офіційна згадка відноситься до 609 року, коли папа Боніфацій VI освятив, секуляризував, віджав римський язичницький храм всіх богів, пантеон, так само, як і віджав римський день померлих Лемурії, який відзначався 13 травня.
13 травня 609 року папа Боніфацій IV переосвятив римський пантеон на честь Пресвятої Богородиці та всіх мучеників. Відтоді свято Дедікатіо Санкта Марія де Мартирес святкується в Римі і започаткувало святкування Дня всіх святих.
Хочеш заробляти в доларах, кнопати на макбуці та пити флет-вайт цілими днями? Тоді тобі точно.
Цьому папа зробив ще одну річ. Всі святі чомусь отримали суперсили, підозріло схожі на ті, що мали римські боги. У 8 столітті інший папа Григорій III змінив 13 травня на 1 листопада. Церква, звісно, намагалась заборонити всі місцеві народні свята, пов'язані з вшануванням предків. Але піст, молитва та скорбота, не подобались язичникам, тому християни пішли іншим шляхом.
Якщо ти не можеш побороти
Good
хаос,
evening.
значить його треба очолити. Хоча тут працює цитата Сунь Цзи з
I'm kind of happy
«Мистецтва
he
війни».
ended with
Не
Christianity.
можеш
I
виграти.
thought
Захищайся. І якщо
we were
хочеш
too lame
виграти,
to mention.
мусиш нападати.
церква просто адаптувала та укультурила це язичницьке свято. До речі, 31 жовтня 1517-го Мартін Лютер прибив 95 тест на соборі у Віттенберзі. Відтоді відзначається День протестантизму. Протестанти вирішили закенселити Геловін, адже на їх думку він був католицький, а отже бісівський і неправильний. Святі вважались ідолами, а поклонятись треба виключно
Nice.
Ісусові. В будь-якому випадку...
Hey, I had something I wanted to ask you, Full Moon, and I forgot what it was.
На мою думку,
There was something in Discord that you've said. And I was like, next time I start the stream, I have to comment on this, and I forgot what it is. So, Hassan, you mean Hamas spiker? Talking about Hassan, have you guys seen New Dylan's video? Because we're going to watch New Dylan's video. I haven't watched it yet. I've seen the clips he posted on Twitter. I think it's great. There's Topsen, there's Anna. I don't know who else is there. But he basically did a video in which he gave a chance for a few Ukrainians to go and watch Hassan and comment on some of his takes about Ukraine specifically. So, haha. So far, seems really, really good from comments. Of course, I've seen Anna being absolutely based. Where's the video? Here's the video. Here's the video. Ukrainians respond to Hassanabi. What a great thing. What a great thing. What a great idea. I love it. I love it. Topsen? I don't know. I think he's alright. I do think he practices an amount of, don't know if I would call it positivity, a bit too strong for me. I don't even think it's that. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to signal the humongous balls he has, and sometimes it just comes off as a bit too strong, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I think people are genuinely trying to point out actual concerns that they have about, Ukraine's ability to have certain huge losses, huge gains and huge victories in a specified amount of time. Stuff like that. I think sometimes people in his chat are genuinely trying to ask questions, being like, "Hey, Topsen, are you not being a bit too positive?" And I think he's trying to just signal how strong and brave Ukrainians are. But sometimes it comes off as a bit too strong, and I think sometimes he's not really open to criticism when it comes to that. But apart from that, I think Topsen is doing real good content. I think it's good to have a voice like him. I think his opinions are good, and I think his overall level of knowledge about the situation, both on the ground but also situation in Ukrainian politics and in Ukrainian spaces overall, is really, really valuable. There's certain insights you can only get from people who have been living in a country for a longer amount of time and who can understand certain, situations a bit more deeply. And I think for an analysis like that, Topsen is a great source. I don't think in any one of my sentences I have called him brave. I don't know why you thought that was a useful comment to bring up, but I have never even brought up the idea of some inherent bravery of his character. Like, as much as I would say all Ukrainians are brave, absolutely. But like, I don't think anyone's deluding themselves into the idea Topsen is like living on the front line or something. He does say very openly. No, didn't he say very openly that he's not, he doesn't live in a war zone? He's not like actively in danger most of the time, of course. You can never really predict what Russia's going to do, right? But I believe that he has not stated his location, but he's all right. Dylan decided to do war crimes? Yes, horrible. A horrible thing. Perspective of Ukrainian media, the Ukrainian army? Yeah, of course, he's Ukrainian. Of course, that's what he is valuable for. He's going to be showing you the perspective of Ukrainian media and Ukrainian army. That's what he is good for. That's what Ukrainian content creators tend to do, in the very much same way that when you watch USA content creators, for example, they will be showing you perspectives of USA media. That's what happens. It's like when you watch, I don't know, Hassan. Hassan is looking at things from a very USA perspective because he is in USA. He is surrounded by Americans. He is surrounded by American media, by American entertainment. He's going to show you what America is showing him. He watches the world through that lens in the very much same way I watch it through a Croatian lens. Plenty of my opinions of, geopolitics are formed on the basis of what happened when Yugoslavia was breaking apart. That's how it works. That's literally how it works being a person. In the same way that, I don't know, when we had conversations about this war with a lot of Western commentators, a lot of people are unable to understand what a war for existence is because their countries have never fought it. Of course, they come from their own perspective. You can't talk to a Frenchie and expect a French person to actually understand what it means to fight a war for your existence. It's very easy for them to make up all of the little ideas on what it means because they will never actually have to live for it. In the very same way, if you remember recently, there was there an American? I believe that it was an American. And they have said that, how was it? If Native Americans want to come and kill all American settlers like they would have the right to, it's very easy to say something like that when you know you will never actually have to face the danger of having to fight for your existence. It's very easy to be very blind. War for existence? I'm kind of talking about, for example, how Ukraine right now has to fight because if you stop fighting, you will stop existing. That's what I think it is. Like, when you look at France, for example, has anyone really wanted to genocide Frenchies in any recent amount of time? Really, I mean genuine, like militarily, not like, how we hate Frenchies. But, like, have they had to fight a war recently? Do you think it's in their national memory? Because I'm pretty sure it isn't. I'm pretty sure most Frenchies are like, yeah, I'm safe, I'm good, I'm in NATO, I'm a big strong country, I'm okay. So you present to them the idea of having to fight for the existence of your nation, and they're like, now of course they're gonna be here. Of course they're going to stay, Like with an American. Americans are geographically blessed. They will never have to fight for the existence of their country. You can't explain to an American what it means to fight for the existence of your nation. They're chill. Don't know. They have no idea. So it's easy for them to, look at Ukraine and criticize the volunteers who have formed to fight for Ukraine's right to exist and stuff like that. It's easy for them to do it because they don't know. Yeah. Don't you think that's a bias? Of course it is. Pretending you don't have a bias is ridiculous. Everyone is biased. The only difference is, asking whether you recognize your bias and whether you are trying to minimize it or whether you are pretending it doesn't exist. But everyone is biased. It's impossible to not be biased. Hey, yeah, Mr. Crime, how's life? What's new? Biased? That too. Invaded the French twice in the last 100 years. They were okay-ish. They were GG. They managed to fight it off. No, you're biased as fuck, my dude. You're biased as fuck. But also, I have to show you, I've saved some good news, but I haven't saved them for all countries because I went to sleep. So, yeah, I've saved it for Austria, and then I skipped over to some Bulgaria, a bunch of Croatia, gonna be showing you this stuff. Gonna be showing you this stuff. Basically, I'm planning to save more today evening, but I've got some good ones, okay? And Croatian ones, of course, are the most important. So you can look at us going to Cheese Awards and then getting good places at the Cheese Awards. Some of our cheeses go to the Golden Award. Because Croatia is the best, okay? You want good cheese, go to Croatia. We have really, really good cheese. Gaza war reporting is done by Israel versus foreign media. The differences are huge. Oh, my man, Israel's interesting. This situation, they're fucking horrible. Foreign media, though, ooh. Like today they have shown another video of a massacre happening in Syria, and they reported on it as if it's a massacre in Gaza. Another one. This just keeps on happening. Every day or two, they find another old video of something horrible happening in Syria, and they pretend it's happening in Gaza right now. I'm pretty sure at this point it has to be intentional, because it's constantly videos from Syria specifically. It has to be intentional. They have to intentionally be choosing Assad's crimes and then showing them off as if they're happening right now in Gaza. Like, this has to be planned. You shouldn't take their opinion about the war as truth. You're again doing this thing. You did it just before in your comments where you were like, that's not actually brave. He's living in Kiev. The fuck are you doing? Who are you responding to? Who are you responding to? I've literally said one of my first things I've said about Topsan is that I don't quite agree with the way he is watching this war. Literally. Who the fuck do you think you're responding to? What is this? Are you just like here to write useless shit? Who are you talking to? Where's your imaginary little friend? Look at Trappist Nvidia. Wait, let me show you. I actually saved a full. But yeah, Kolan extra aged cheese got gold rating. Istrian sheep cheese, Istrian hard cow cheese, Istrian mixed cheese, and Agro Laguna's Istrian sheep cheese took home silver. Now, I haven't tried any of these. Literally none of these. Now, when they talk about Dukat's president, Grand Old Trappist, I'm pretty sure I did try this one. It was good though. It was good. I don't know what any of these other ones are, to be honest. Don't know what any of the other ones are. When we talk about white phosphorus, there's big conversations on that too. I would recommend you to follow certain sources who have been following the war in Israel for a long time. Let me show you Oz. Let me try to find specifically Oz talking about chemical weapons, because he did a great few posts on it. Man's really salty about people talking about chemical weapons, and I think it's really important to understand what chemical weapons are and what what is actually banned. What is a chemical weapon and what is a chemical? I think it's a bit important to understand that. I think a lot of people are making very strong claims that they may not know too much about. I found it. It's not a chemical weapon, yeah. Most of the opinions of Topsan about Russia is hate speech against Russians. Yeah, based. Of course it is. They're invading his country. I'm finding mostly his fucking posts bitching about this one specific dude. But let me show you the man. Let me show you the man. Let me show you the man. Here he is. And showed you the wrong man. Showed you the wrong man. Here he is. He has been quite based on the situation. I followed him for a while, mostly because of his reporting on Ukraine, but he has previously been following the Israel-Palestine situation. Still is. He has been one of the rare voices of reason at the start of Hamas terrorist attack. If you remember when people were claiming Russia was directly involved, Oz was, I think, one of the first accounts I've seen who were like, no. Like, guys, no, chill, no. It is not true. It is not fucking true that Russia is involved in this. It is not true that Russia like pushed Hamas to act or whatever. There were those videos. If you remember, there was a specific one claiming that you can hear Russian being spoken in some what's the word? You can hear Russian being spoken in some clips from the actual terrorist attack, and it wasn't really true. You couldn't hear it. He was also one of the first people I've seen debunk that video. So overall, I think he's a good, stable source on this. I think he's okay, genuinely. Poor innocent Russians being hated by angry Thompson. Yeah. Palestinians can be anti-Semites. I think there's a big difference. First of all, anti-Semitism and Russophobia, my dude. Comparing the two, I think it's interesting. I don't agree that Israel is invading Palestine. I don't agree Israel is invading Palestine. I do agree with the two-state solution, and I think we need to figure out a way to keep the two groups coexisting. But I don't agree with the idea Israel-Palestine situation can be compared to Russia-Ukraine situation at all, my dude. Like, I genuinely disagree with the idea they are comparable. You look at the history of Russia, you look at the Russian Empire, you look at the USSR, you look at them now, then you compare that to Israel, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where you're seeing the correlation. Oh yeah, Russia supplying weapons to them is an important point to bring up, and so is Putin pretending to be supportive of Muslims right now because he's figuring that supporting Palestine seems to be opposition to the West. He's trying to do the Dugin thing. If you remember, there's this one Dugin interview in which he says that Russia has to pick the anti-USA option sometimes to keep the world multipolar. So there's an option that USA chooses and Russia has to take the second one. He specifically has an example on this, but he's Dugin, so I kind of don't care about him enough to remember. But it's easy to find the interview on YouTube, it's kind of long. But he talks about some specific situation in geopolitics where like USA chose one option, USA chose to oppose a leader. So Russia wanted to support him because Russia wanted to push for multipolarity. Russia wanted to push for their own strength. It's like they're not choosing the side based on their own morals. They're choosing the side which is anti-USA, which is why Russia is now pretending to support Palestine when Russia has, butchered Chechens, when Russia has sent Russians to fight for Serbia in Bosnia. They were genociding Bosniaks there. Girkin was there. Girkin himself was there. Russians have supported Mladic, the butcher of Bosnia. Russians have asked for him to be released from prison because he is suffering there, because he is very, very sick lately. Russia doesn't give a shit about Muslims overall, but they are pretending to care right now because it plays into their interests. No, I don't think this started this year. I do not agree that Israel is invading Palestine. I do not agree Israel is invading. I do agree that Israel should be condemned for killing civilians. But I think overall, what we are strongly disagreeing on is that I'm sensing in your claim you think the state of Israel itself should not be existing, and I definitely disagree with that. The borders were not decided in the first place because we couldn't decide on the borders because the West was too cowardly to try to do it, and we pulled out. Trace back the Putin worldview of Western conspiracy to back color revolutions. Western leaders and him were acting on completely different set of facts. Oh shit, I kinda wanna see that. I kinda wanna see that. Israel wants to conquer Gaza and banish Palestinians. The thing is, you could say right now what they want to do is destroy Gaza. You could say right now what they want to do is destroy it. I do believe that we should have pushed stronger for a two-state solution. I do believe there was a possibility of a two-state solution. I do believe it still is, and if we manage to push properly for a ceasefire. How do you see that happening? The thing is, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think anyone here will be too pleased with the idea of two-state solution right now. It's the only solution I can figure working. That or three-state solution. I'm not entirely sure how Palestinians feel about the idea of that. But I definitely think we need some sort of a solution. And definitely one-state solution seems absolutely impossible. So yeah, we'll need to figure out a way to draw the borders. I don't think there's anything else really, like realistically. What are you looking at to figure out another option, possibly? Let's say people in North Gaza move, as the Israeli government say. Do you think they will be able to get back to their land when Israel destroys Hamas? I don't think Hamas will be destroyed. I don't think Israel can destroy Hamas. I don't think anyone can destroy Hamas. I don't think you can destroy Hamas any more than you can destroy any other terrorist organization in the world with bombing. That's not what terrorist organizations exist based on. Yeah, I don't really think it's going to work. Ooh. Forcing 1.7 million people who are mostly born in Pakistan to leave to Afghanistan and Taliban. Wait, I read actually something about this and I was like, holy shit, I know nothing about that. I'm gonna ask Cringe. Because he's kind of good on like geopolitics. I know nothing. I legit zero. I've seen few people talk about it. That was it. Decades of occupation of Palestine with de-radicalization of population, and then we might talk about two-state solutions. Yeah, could be. Like, I'm not pretending it's an easy solution, of course not. If it was an easy solution, it would have been done already. It's not exactly a fresh idea. It's not really, you know, like any one of us is the first person to think of it. It has been tried before, it has failed before. I still think that realistically that is the only solution that could work. You know, like what else? What else? Nothing else. There's literally nothing else. So, yeah. Wait, where is my video? I wanted to show you my video. Here's my video. Fantasizes all Gazans will run to Egypt. And all Palestinians from the West Bank will run to Jordan. I think there's a problem with that fantasy in that neither Egypt nor Jordan really want to accept Palestinians. It's like, oh, I fantasize that all people from Gaza are gonna run to Egypt, and then Egypt is like, no. Pretty sure it's not going to work. Pretty sure Egypt was asked to accept refugees and they have very openly refused. So, unity government between Netanyahu's party, radical Zionists, and the liberals. That too. The king said it himself. Yeah. Like it would be a bit useless to dream about Palestinians leaving. No one really wants to accept them. We could talk about the reasons why other countries don't want to accept them. Absolutely, but still, it's not like they have anywhere to run. It's not like they have a choice. It's not like it's an ability of them. You think? Man, I'm at the point where I'm like hoping that USA does basically anything. I think I'm kind of so disappointed in Europeans and our pussy ass behaviors. I'm just hoping USA does something. I'm hoping USA like carries the torch for us. They have enough poor people to feed as it is. Yeah, there's like economic issues in Egypt. They have been offered aid if they accept Palestinian refugees. They have refused. It would be political suicide. No one dares to be like, yeah, sure. No one dares. So, it's not really like we can fix the situation in any way, which is also why I'm so salty about the UN conversations. By the way, I fucked up. I fucking fucked up about, I had this genius idea that, what would be a fun thing at my workplace, because I'm not planning to stay there for a much longer time. So I had this genius idea of mentioning to people that are like looking into politics. I thought it might bring some interesting conversations. The UN conversations, I think I mentioned them last stream we did on Tuesday. That was stupid on Tuesday. They have only gotten dumber in the 2 days after. They have only gotten dumber. It's like people read the headlines, and then from the headlines they go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to extrapolate the most retarded opinion from that headline, and then that is what they go out in the world with. Just goddamn stupid. Their idea of how the West can influence anything in the world is so incredibly stupid. They have the idea that UN should try to do another resolution in which it will make countries take Palestinian refugees. They're like, at one point, I was legit asked a question like, do you think Croatia would vote against that too? Like, do you think Croatia wants Palestinians to stay in Gaza? Do you think Croatia doesn't want to give them a chance to leave Gaza? I was like, what do you mean? What do you think UN resolutions are? How do you think UN resolutions work? Why do you think they are binding? They think they are binding. I think they legit have the idea that like if UN pushes a resolution, like it pushed for a ceasefire, for example. If UN pushes a resolution and then the countries don't behave accordingly, that UN's gonna go and like bomb them. I think they legit believe that UN has some sort of a system to bomb the fuck out of a country that doesn't behave the way it should. I don't know where that's coming from. It's one of those views. You know how Vatnik sometimes they will say like, oh yeah, NATO is supplying Ukraine with everything. And you're like, I wish. Like you have a stupid way of viewing the world and I wish you were correct. You're not, but I wish you were. It's like that. Like I wish they were correct in UN. I wish UN had a fraction of that usefulness. It doesn't. It doesn't. How do you exist in this day and age and you still think UN has any sort of worth? Just when Gazan refugees will storm the Rafah crossing, there's no way Egyptian soldiers will shoot them. I think you know how Poland deals with refugees coming from Belarus? You know how Greece deals with refugees coming from Turkey? I think that's what you may be seeing, because it's of course very unlikely you're going to shoot a refugee unless you're a Croatian policeman, because we've been very shit with that apparently. it's very unlikely you're going to shoot them. But they do push them back. They don't shoot at all of them, but they do push them back. Or like they, in worst case scenarios, they have camps where they keep them for much of the time, and then that's it, and then they just never leave them in the country, and then they push them back when they get an opportunity to. Huge wall between Europe and Asia. If you consider us the normal ones, Europe, and then like if you were to consider Russia as Asian, so we can also build a wall around them and to keep them there, I would actually probably say yes. The problem is like Russian side, which resides in Europe, Russian European part, has Moscows in it, and I don't want those. So the entire country must go. The Great Wall of Europe, please. Dylan has blue eyes, he's an android. He can't stare into your soul. He doesn't know what a soul is. He's just tempting. He's staring into nothingness. He's computing. He's like bzzz. Robert?
Der Terrorangriff der Hamas auf Israel ist jetzt bald 4 Wochen her. Vieles seitdem passiert. Politisch, aber vor allem für die Menschen.
I need to find this man in English.
Und zerfressen wird. Die öffentliche Debatte ist seit dem Angriff aufgeheizt, mitunter verworren. Ich möchte mit diesem Video einen Beitrag dazu leisten, sie zu entwirren. Zu viel scheint mir zu schnell vermischt zu werden. Der Satz, Israels Sicherheit ist deutsche Staatsräson, war nie eine Lehrformel. Und er darf auch keine werden. Er sagt, dass die Sicherheit Israels für uns als Staat notwendig ist. Dieses besondere Verhältnis zu Israel rührt aus unserer historischen Verantwortung. Es war die Generation meiner Großeltern, die jüdisches Leben in Deutschland und Europa vernichten wollte. Die Gründung Israels war danach, nach dem Holocaust, das Schutzversprechen an die Jüdinnen und Juden, und Deutschland ist verpflichtet zu...
Oh my man, I was trying to figure out what he's saying.
Israel ist jetzt bald 4 Wochen her.
I was legit translating it. I was like, I'm gonna give you an update. I didn't know there were subtitles. Actually, a nice part. It's easier to listen to German than it is to read it, I have to tell you. Give them their own playground and keep them out of ours. The problem is, okay, that was the idea when Russia continued existing as Russian Federation instead of it, being broken up into Moscovia and whichever other republic wanted to be its own. Like, oh yeah, they can have the Russian Federation as their little playground and they can, kick each other up there. And then you have Moscows and you have them going to beat up Chechens. And then you have them abusing the fuck out of Dagestanis and the Tuvans. And, ha ha ha, it's okay, it's their trash. It's trash on this side of the world. Problem is, we didn't protect everyone around the playground. So now we have this issue. So yeah. Building a wall, quite a good idea. Quite a good idea. I support it 100%. They believe all ex-Soviet states are their land. Yeah, that's why we should have fucked them in the ass the second they went into Georgia, and we didn't. The second they touched Georgian land, their soldiers should have been evaporated immediately. They weren't. So now we're dealing with this issue. Because they were like, oh yeah, guys, you know what? Georgia is our land. And then they went into Georgia and then they ethnically cleansed areas of Georgia. And what we did is we made little media posts about Georgia, a former Soviet state, returning to its roots, whatever the fuck. All that kind of stuff, yeah. Man, it sucks. There's too many countries existing. Second they touched Ichkeria, we did nothing about that.
Die öffentliche Debatte ist seit dem Angriff aufgeheizt, mitunter verworren. Ich möchte mit diesem Video einen Beitrag dazu leisten, sie zu entwirren. Zu viel scheint mir zu schnell vermischt zu werden. Der Satz, Israels Sicherheit ist deutsche Staatsräson, war nie eine Lehrformel. Und er darf auch keine werden. Er sagt, dass die Sicherheit Israels für uns als Staat notwendig ist. Dieses besondere Verhältnis zu Israel rührt aus unserer historischen Verantwortung. Es war die Generation meiner Großeltern, die jüdisches Leben in Deutschland und Europa vernichten wollte. Die Gründung Israels war danach, nach dem Holocaust, das Schutzversprechen an die Jüdinnen und Juden, und Deutschland ist verpflichtet zu helfen, dass dieses Versprechen erfüllt werden kann. Das ist ein historisches Fundament dieser Republik. Die Verantwortung unserer Geschichte bedeutet genauso, dass Jüdinnen und Juden in Deutschland frei und sicher leben können, dass sie nie wieder Angst haben müssen, ihre Religion, ihre Kultur offen zu zeigen. Genau diese Angst aber ist nun zurück. Ich habe kürzlich Mitglieder der jüdischen Gemeinde in Frankfurt getroffen. In einem intensiven, in einem schmerzhaften Gespräch erzählten mir die Gemeindevertreterinnen und Vertreter, dass ihre Kinder Angst haben, zur Schule zu gehen, dass sie nicht mehr in Sportvereine gehen, dass sie auf Anraten ihrer Eltern die Kette mit dem Davidstern zu Hause lassen. Heute, hier in Deutschland, fast 80 Jahre nach dem Holocaust. Sie erzählten, dass sie sich selbst nicht mehr trauen, in ein Taxi zu steigen, dass sie Briefe nicht mehr mit Absendern versehen, um ihre Empfänger zu schützen. Heute, hier in Deutschland, fast 80 Jahre nach dem Holocaust. Und ein jüdischer Freund berichtete mir von seiner Angst, seiner schieren Verzweiflung, seinem Gefühl von Einsamkeit. Die jüdischen Gemeinden warnen ihre Mitglieder, bestimmte Plätze zu meiden, zu ihrer eigenen Sicherheit. Und das heute hier in Deutschland, fast 80 Jahre nach dem Holocaust. Der Antisemitismus zeigt sich auf Demonstrationen, er zeigt sich in Äußerungen, er zeigt sich in Angriffen auf jüdische Läden, in Drohungen. Während es schnell große Solidaritätswellen gibt, etwa wenn es zu rassistischen Angriffen kommt, ist die Solidarität bei Israel rasch brüchig. Dann heißt es, der Kontext sei schwierig.
Like Schultz, but based and with false.
Zur Relativierung führen.
How's he on Ukraine?
Wir haben sicherlich oft zu
Gotta
viele
look into
Empörungen
him.
in unserer Debattenkultur, aber hier können wir gar nicht empört genug sein. Es braucht jetzt Klarheit und kein Verwischen. Und zur Klarheit
Nice
gehört,
though.
Antisemitismus ist in keiner Gestalt zu tolerieren.
221
In keiner.
based.
Das Ausmaß bei den islamistischen Demonstrationen in Berlin und in weiteren Städten Deutschlands ist inakzeptabel und braucht eine harte politische Antwort. Es braucht diese auch von den muslimischen Verbänden. Einige haben sich klar von den Taten der Hamas und vom Antisemitismus distanziert, haben das Gespräch gesucht. Aber nicht alle und manche zu zögerlich und ich finde insgesamt zu wenige. Die hier liebenden Muslime haben Anspruch auf Schutz vor rechtsextremer Gewalt. Zu Recht. Wenn sie angegriffen werden, muss dieser Anspruch eingelöst werden und das Gleiche müssen sie jetzt einlösen, wenn Jüdinnen und Juden angegriffen werden. Sie müssen sich klipp und klar von Antisemitismus distanzieren, um nicht ihren eigenen Anspruch auf Toleranz zu unterlaufen. Für religiöse Intoleranz ist in Deutschland kein Platz. Wer hier lebt, lebt hier nach den Regeln dieses Landes und wer hierher kommt, muss wissen, dass das so ist und so auch durchgesetzt werden wird. Unsere Verfassung schützt und gibt Rechte. Sie legt aber auch Pflichten auf, die von jedem und jeder erfüllt werden müssen. Beides kann man nicht voneinander trennen. Toleranz kann an dieser Stelle keine Intoleranz vertragen. Das ist der Kern unseres Zusammenlebens in dieser Republik. Das heißt, das Verbrennen von israelischen Fahnen ist eine Straftat. Das Preisen des Terrors der Hamas auch. Wer Deutscher ist, wird sich dafür vor Gericht verantworten müssen. Wer kein Deutscher ist, riskiert außerdem seinen Aufenthaltsstatus. Wer noch keinen Aufenthaltstitel hat, liefert einen Grund, abgeschoben zu werden. Der islamistische Antisemitismus darf aber nicht darüber hinwegtäuschen, dass wir auch in Deutschland einen verfestigten Antisemitismus haben. Nur dass die Rechtsextremen sich gerade aus rein taktischen Gründen zurückhalten, um gegen Muslime hetzen zu können. Die Relativierung des Zweiten Weltkriegs, des Naziregimes als Fliegenschiss, ist nicht nur eine Relativierung des Holocaust. Sie ist ein Schlag ins Gesicht der Opfer und Überlebenden. Alle, die hinhören, können und müssen das wissen. Der Zweite Weltkrieg war ein Vernichtungskrieg gegen Juden. Für das Naziregime war die Vernichtung des europäischen Judentums das Hauptziel. Und weil unter den Rechtsextremen so manche Putin-Freunde sind, Putin lässt sich mit Vertretern der Hamas und der iranischen Regierung fotografieren und bedauert die zivilen Opfer im Gazastreifen, während er zivile Opfer in der Ukraine schafft. Seine Freunde in Deutschland sind gewiss keine Freunde der Jüdinnen und Juden. Sorge macht mir aber auch der Antisemitismus in Teilen der politischen Linken und zwar leider auch bei jungen Aktivistinnen und Aktivisten. Antikolonialismus darf nicht zu Antisemitismus führen. Insofern sollte dieser Teil der politischen Linken seine Argumente überprüfen und der großen Widerstandserzählung misstrauen. Das Beide-Seiten-Argument führt hier in die Irre. Die Hamas ist eine mordende Terrorgruppe, die für die Auslöschung des Staates Israels und den Tod aller Juden kämpft. Die Klarheit, mit der das wiederum zum Beispiel die deutsche Sektion von Fridays for Future auch in Abgrenzung zu ihren internationalen Freunden konstatiert hat, die
Oh, hello,
ist
Jim.
mehr
How are
als
you?
respektabel. Als ich kürzlich in der Türkei war, wurde mir vorgehalten, dass in Deutschland pro-palästinensische Demonstrationen verboten seien. Und dass Deutschland seine humanitären Ansprüche auch auf die Menschen in Gaza übertragen müsse. Ich machte klar, dass bei uns Kritik an Israel natürlich erlaubt ist. Und dass es eben nicht verboten ist, für die Rechte der Palästinenserinnen und Palästinenser und auch ihr Recht auf einen eigenen Staat einzutreten. Aber der Aufruf zur Gewalt gegen Juden oder das Feiern der Gewalt gegen Juden, die sind verboten. Und zwar zu Recht. Ja, das Leben in Gaza ist Leben in Perspektivlosigkeit und Armut. Ja, die Siedlerbewegung in der Westbank schürt Unfrieden und nimmt Palästinensern Hoffnung und Rechte und zunehmend auch Leben. Und das Leid der Zivilbevölkerung jetzt im Krieg ist eine Tatsache, eine fürchterliche Tatsache. Jedes tote Kind ist eines zu viel. Auch ich fordere humanitäre Lieferungen, setze mich dafür ein, dass Wasser, Medikamente, Hilfsgüter nach Gaza kommen, dass die Flüchtlinge geschützt werden. Zusammen mit unseren amerikanischen Freunden machen wir Israel immer wieder deutlich, dass der Schutz der Zivilbevölkerung zentral ist. Der Tod und das Leid, das jetzt über die Menschen im Gazastreifen kommt, sind schlimm. Das zu sagen ist so notwendig wie legitim. Systematische Gewalt gegen Jüdinnen und Juden aber kann damit dennoch nicht legitimiert werden. Antisemitismus kann damit nicht gerechtfertigt werden. Natürlich muss sich Israel an das Völkerrecht und internationale Standards halten. Aber der Unterschied ist, wer würde solche Erwartungen je an die Hamas formulieren? Und weil ich kürzlich im Ausland damit konfrontiert wurde, wie der Angriff auf Israel am 7. Oktober als, Zitat, unglücklicher Vorfall verharmlost wurde, ja sogar die Fakten in Frage gestellt wurden, noch einmal hier in Erinnerung gerufen. Es war die Hamas, die Kinder, Eltern, Großeltern in ihren Häusern bestialisch ermordet hat, deren Kämpfer Leichen verstümmelt haben, Menschen entführt und lachend der öffentlichen Demütigung ausgesetzt haben. Es sind Berichte des schieren Horrors und dennoch wird die Hamas als Freiheitsbewegung gefeiert? Das ist eine Verkehrung der Tatsachen, die wir nicht stehen lassen können. Und das bringt mich zum letzten Punkt. Der Angriff auf Israel erfolgt in einer Phase der Annäherung mehrerer muslimischer Staaten an Israel. Es gibt die Abraham-Abkommen zwischen Israel und muslimischen Staaten der Region. Jordanien und Israel arbeiten in einem großen Trinkwasserprojekt zusammen. Saudi-Arabien war auf dem Weg, seine Beziehung zu Israel zu normalisieren. Aber ein friedliches Miteinander von Israel und seinen Nachbarn, von Juden und Muslimen, die Perspektive einer Zwei-Staaten-Lösung, all das wollen die Hamas und ihre Unterstützer, insbesondere die iranische Regierung, nicht. Sie wollen es zerstören. Wer die Hoffnung auf Frieden in der Region nicht aufgegeben hat, wer am Recht der Palästinenser auf einen eigenen Staat und eine wirkliche Perspektive festhält, und das tun wir, der muss jetzt in diesen Wochen der Bewährung differenzieren. Und zur Differenzierung gehört, dass die Mordtaten der Hamas Frieden verhindern wollen. Die Hamas will nicht die Aussöhnung mit Israel, sondern die Auslöschung von Israel. Und deshalb gilt unverrückbar: Das Existenzrecht Israels darf nicht relativiert werden. Die Sicherheit Israels ist unsere Verpflichtung. Deutschland weiß das.
Strong, huge balls, man. Strong. I hope to hear his opinions more, because this was good. Oh, it was AI generated? Fair, but like a good speech. Really good speech. Very, very, very good one. Flag burning laws. I think it's okay when it comes to like, obviously when it comes to burning the flag of Israel. I feel it carries, some deep meanings, and I feel it's okay to ban it. I would definitely do flag burning bans on a case-by-case basis. Like, I think it's GG to burn a German flag. Sorry, Germans, but like, no one really wants to destroy you people. You're okay, you're fucking strong, you're alright. I think it's okay to ban, and of course the French flag, who would disagree? I think it's okay to be burning flags as part of a political protest, but I definitely think it's okay to sometimes just look at the situation and be like, hey guys, our grandfathers did the Holocaust. maybe us burning the flags of Israel kind of shits on the whole idea of never again. Maybe there's some lines that you can't cross even as part of your political protest, and maybe that's one of those. You know what I mean? Where are the solutions? There's no solutions. I think there's no solutions. I think they're just going to attempt to force a ceasefire. It is not going to work. I don't think Israel can afford a ceasefire, to be honest. It was a victim of a terrorist attack, and their people want revenge. I'm not really sure Israeli leadership can be like, hey guys, we're just going to, stop this and peacefully move. I'm not really sure that would make a lot of sense. I think for now, what we can do is continue to be attempting to call for humanitarian aid to be given, for definitely for ceasefires to be given, even though it's very unlikely, but we still should be calling for it. It still does fall within Western obligations, I think. I think he said it rather well, that the West is keeping Israel, attempting to keep Israel to a certain standard to which Hamas was never held. So while we should continue to demand certain following of rules from Israel, which we're not really seeing, by the way, I don't really believe they're giving a shit. But while we should be demanding certain way of behaving from them, we also have to acknowledge that no one really is having those demands of Hamas. Make a return of the Crusades. Oh yeah, we actually, yeah, that's true, that's true. Wake up the Pope. Wake the Pope. The current Pope we have, he's kinda crappy for the Crusades. We need to bring back the Star Wars one, the last one we had. He's not alive anymore, fuck. We need to have another one. We need a Pope who looks like a villain and is a villain and can start a crusade now. I don't really think Francis is up for it. Like, no hate to Francis, but he's gonna start the lamest crusade. They're gonna make it like 2 meters out of Vatican. Palestinians voted for and supported the Trash government. To be fair, like, 2 problems with that. One problem is that they voted for Hamas back in 2005. Back in 2005, even before that, Hamas didn't really always have the same ideology that they have right now. Hamas didn't really always behave in the same way that they behaved in, the last few days we've seen them. They did not have free and fair elections ever since 2005. So I think that's important to understand. And I think the other thing important to understand is that holding them accountable by bombing them is inexcusable. There's a difference between people being responsible for the government and people being guilty for the crimes that the government is engaged in. And I think it's needed to keep a realistic approach to this. It's one thing to demand sanctioning of peoples, it's one thing to demand that they lose certain, trades, that they lose certain territories or whatever, but also I do think it's another thing to pretend like bombing them is, excusable by the fact that years previously they voted for this government. I think that's kind of... Peace now would be bad for Israel. Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely I could see that. Israel forces Egypt to annex Gaza. Egypt becomes responsible for any Gaza rockets, so Egypt begins brutally oppressing them and mercing all Hamas. Holy shit. Yeah. No, but yeah. Germans were not at fault because when they elected the Nazis, they did not call for a Holocaust already. I do think that... I don't think it's solely about what happens at the time of the elections. I think that's the first thing that's important for me to say. The reason I brought up elections was because the mentioned idea was that they voted for Hamas. And they did vote for them in 2005. I think that's kind of important to mention when we talk about voting. But I think overall a nation is complicit with the government for as long as it allows it, right? So in the same way that Gazans were having Hamas around, 2007, sorry, they, like, did they ever do protest against them? Did they ever demand Hamas to, build them at least one shelter if they're already going to be chunking rockets at Israel? They were quite complicit with them. I do think it's okay to acknowledge this complicity. I do think it's okay to acknowledge this responsibility. I think it's wrong to pretend like the population, which is not directly involved in Hamas crimes, is guilty for Hamas crimes and thus deserves to be bombed. Send Gaza population to vacation and then fully destroy Hamas. Yeah, the problem is though that you can't really separate Hamas from the Palestinian population. You can't really you can't separate them. There was this one great interview. I had it saved from a Palestinian politician, in which he talks about how Hamas has a women's wing. Hamas has a students' wing. Hamas is really well interconnected with the society overall in Gaza. It's impossible to be like, oh yeah, I want to kick out all Gaza civilians and then only Hamas will stay. Because it's not like Hamas is like, 5 terrorists in a bunker and you can separate them easily from the civilian population. They're much more interconnected with the population, which is also though why any sort of bombing attempt to destroy Hamas is going to fail. You can't. That there's no chance to destroy a terrorist organization like this by bombing them. It will not succeed. It will only radicalize more people. Golden rule says treat others as you wish to be treated. I do think we as the Western world, I think we should be opposing killings of civilians. Oh shit, yeah, this one. Notice there's not a single person in the square. This Vatnik had set his alarm for 4 a.m. so he could bravely show his message to local pigeons. And fair. USA, UK, Russia got a shit about the German civilians? No, they didn't care. But no, Israel is bad because they killed maybe 10 civilians. Okay, 2 things. Two issues. First issue, they definitely did get shit about dead German civilians. They definitely did. I'm still encountering people, questioning whether bombing of Dresden was necessary or if it was done out of lust for blood. There's definitely still a lot of questioning of Allied actions against Nazi Germany. The thing is that, Nazi Germany were Nazis. So people see Germany as responsible for starting the war, and then any sort of bitching about their casualties is seen as inherently supporting them, which could be an argument also to bring up in the current situation. You could say, hey, it was, Hamas, which were elected by people of Gaza. It was Hamas that started this war, so technically they are responsible for any death that happens as a result of it. It's still okay for West to demand certain standards from Israel, and among these standards should be keeping the number of civilian deaths to as low as possible. It should be a standard we demand from our allies. But also, I'm pretty sure Israel killed way more than 10 civilians. I'm pretty sure they don't quite care that much about the number of civilian casualties. There are seagulls there too, and they are pretty huge. Too bad they don't hate Russians. We need to teach them so when they see this combination of colors, they attack it. They go. Their tools are in bunkers and such hiding places. In destroying those, plus killing as many of those you can, will bring some peace. Oh, yeah, temporarily. Temporarily, yeah, it definitely could work. USA bombed Nazi position in France, killing around 2,000 French civilians. Nobody said USA was evil because of that and should make peace with Nazis. Yeah, I think though, I definitely think that calling for peace with Hamas is delusional, and I definitely don't think it's going to work. But also, I'm not quite sure any of these comparisons are really something I feel is doing justice to a conversation about Israel-Palestine, you know? Like the whole thing with comparing Palestinian views of Israel to Ukrainian views of Russia. I don't really think it's comparable. I just don't really think the two situations can be compared. And in the same way, you know, comparing Hamas to Nazi Germany, I'm not sure how much justice it's doing, to be honest. He's not... Okay, he gave me the translate thing. Thank you. Oh. Conservative People's Party of Estonia is supported by 23.2%. Oh, EKRE. EKRE is still around. If it's their culture preference to kill civilians? No. No. That must be contempt. Holy shit. No. EKRE people staying strong, my man. Good news? Oh shit, yeah, good news. I need to show you my good news. Hey, need to show you my good news. What are my good news on Estonia? I had something on Estonia. Oh, Tallinn. Tallinn set 0 traffic deaths goal in new mobility plan. Look at this. Look at this. I'm familiar with EKRE because people keep on commenting on EKRE every once in a while. And also I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with nothing really about Estonia, to be honest, my dude. I don't know what you people are doing really. I know you have a... do I want to say healthy amount of vatniks? You have an amount, and I only know that because of chatters too. I mostly know everything that's going on because chat tells me what's going on. What do you got in your good news, though? Balkan history. Great, it's a diaper ad. Lovely. Thank you.
Balkan history be like. Former taxi driver turned general leads his militia of Serbia Albanians against his opponent Omer, who led a militia of Bosnian Croatians during the latest independence war this week. The war escalates with the general becoming too busy with ethnic cleansing and the politician sinking all his money into building bunkers for an incoming attack. A Slovenian starts another war after a farmer had a bottle shoved up his ass by 2 Albanians. Even after NATO bombs Sarajevo to the Stone Age, the fighting only escalates with a Turkish-Bulgarian jihad. Everyone finally comes together to beat up the Turks and Bulgarians. The war ends with all individuals on trial for war crimes. Before facing judgment, all the criminals killed themselves live on TV. They are later named national heroes years later. Comment below if you have ideas for future videos. And thanks to my...
True, actually, though. Every single word of this true. Every single word of this. The only incorrect fact he had was right here, where he says that all criminals kill themselves live on TV. Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, I wish. Hey, by the way, don't know how many of you guys have seen the conversations around this already, but like, you remember the Times article but Zelensky being the only person who believes in the victory of Ukraine, and how he quotes anonymous sources constantly, and the anonymous sources keep being very negative against Zelensky. You guys know the anonymous source, at least one of them is Arestovich. He said it himself. Man did a whole post and a video in which he was like, yeah, I spoke to the author of this article several times. He's kind of based, by the way, Arestovich says. He's kind of based. He has had correct analysis of this for a while. A man who in 2014 wrote an article which was basically, these are the reasons why Russia will never get involved in Ukrainian civil war. Arestovich kind of thinks he's based. So I'm kind of wondering what Upson thinks about the dude now. I kind of wonder if he feels the way Grisha felt when Prigozhin got, exploded. Barbecued in the sky. Haven't seen this, by the way.
Эй, парень, ты ведь хочешь победить Путина, и чтобы война скорее закончилась?
Ну да.
И что для этого нужно сделать?
Ну, я точно не знаю. Возможно, надо помочь Украине в борьбе с агрессором.
Ну что за бред? Неужели ты хочешь спонсировать убийство наших невиноватых, обманутых мальчиков, которые пришли убивать украинцев совсем не со зла, а по вине одного Путина?
А?
Послушай, чтобы стать настоящим врагом Путина и эффективно с ним бороться, нужно
This is Volkov.
стать нашим спонсором и тем самым создать максимальные неудобства путинскому режиму. А оформив топовую подписку, будешь сниться Путину в ночных кошмарах. А теперь, что нужно сказать?
Путин, уходи.
Я не слышу.
Путин, уходи.
Громче.
Путин, уходи.
Вот тебе, получай, Путин. Уверен, он трусит от страха в своем бункере.
Ну что за бред? Единственный способ победить Путина — это участвовать в выборах и нанести максимальное политическое поражение, снизив рейтинг Путина. Только проспонсировав мою инициативу, ты станешь настоящим врагом Путина.
Нет, мою.
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 А может, все же лучше поддержать Украину?
Нет. Неужели ты хочешь победы Украины?
А потом платить репарации.
За войну?
Одного Путина.
Fuck.
This is the device that never
I never see that fucking ending coming. No. He always does that shit. And I'm always like, what are they going to say now? By the way, we have to watch fucking Dylan video. Cats? Man. I have that man. I actually follow him on YouTube. I think he does interesting videos sometimes. I'm angry because he's a pussy. I'm subbed. And I refuse to watch him because he's a pussy. But he does the videos and he has English subtitles. And sometimes I'm like, I'm kinda interested. But like, do we really want to hear Russian speak? No, we don't. No, we don't.
Out there filming with artillery crews supporting the Zaporozhye counteroffensive, as well as a separate artillery crew defending the Donetsk region from Russian advances. I got a lot of incredible footage, including them working, them receiving counter-battery fire, talking to them about their personal lives, why they do what they do, living in a dugout 24/7, as well as a whole host of other topics. I'm really excited to share that footage with you guys, but that's not today. Today, we need to talk about a different topic, and that's inclusion. Specifically, including Ukrainians in conversations about their own country. Anytime I turn on cable news, anytime I turn on the radio, anytime I open up a newspaper, I see conversations happening everywhere about Ukraine. But Ukrainians are not often included in those conversations. And that's not just true of cable news, that's also true of alternative media sources as well. I'm talking Twitch and YouTube. And on Twitch, there's one king.
I think he's targeting...
And that's Hasanabi.
I unironically think he mistyped it on purpose. So he gets Hassan viewers to watch the video. It's like, if you're a Hassan viewer, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get it in recommended, like this, and then you'll be forced to watch it. And if at least one of them grows one like little brain cell from watching this video, we can be happy.
And he's talked quite a lot about the war in Ukraine. But I have not seen many conversations with him talking to Ukrainians on his platform. So I thought, due to the fact that many of his conversations had not included Ukrainian perspectives, maybe it could benefit from a Ukrainian perspective. So we gathered 4 people of very...
By the way, a based fucking video idea. I hope we see more stuff like this, cause I've been seeing lots of people posting online these days about different situations happening in their own countries, and it's interesting to see how many people are trying very desperately to call out the Western disinformation specifically on this. Like you have a lot of Syrians, for example, being like, hey guys, this is how the Western media is misrepresenting our situation in Syria right now. So I think it would be interesting to do these videos at least a bit more often. It's an interesting concept of like forcing people to come into contact with people they pretend to know shit about. Overall, I think it's a really good thing. I think we have given Americans way too much time on the platform and way too much strength to their voices. And they should be forced to actually, figure out that when they talk about Ukraine, for example, they're talking about a real nation with real people in it and not just little puppets they imagine. It's a cool thing.
From all across Ukraine, including one former Hassanabi fan, to talk about what Hassan has said about the war. To include...
Who's a former Hassanabi fan who watched this? Prior familiarity? Is it Anna?
...them in the conversation. Now, this isn't a total list of everything Hassan has ever said that they reacted to.
It's not Thompson, right?
Clips that they saw based upon what moments could best benefit from a Ukrainian perspective. And so if we didn't include your most favorite Hassanabi moment, we're very sorry.
Stopson.
I wanted to include, for example, when Hassan talked about right sector snipers killing Euromaidan protesters, but we only could keep them for 2 hours, and I didn't want to have them there for 5 hours answering every single clip that Hassan has ever said about them. So just understand that we could only do so much for practicality's sake and out of respect for the people that we brought to react to. I hope in the future when we talk about countries, we include people from those countries in the conversation more, whether it be Ukraine, Taiwan, Vietnam, Korea, Mexico, Canada, Iraq, or wherever it is. Let's include the people who actually have to live there.
He didn't mention Croatia, by the way, which kind of sucks, but okay.
Conversations on how that country should be treated and what the future of that country will be. Thank you very much.
It is forgiven now.
So let's start by going around the room and everybody introducing themselves. Let's start from the left-hand corner of the room over here.
No, I'm Anna, Anastasia. I'm Ukrainian Anna on Twitter. I'm a volunteer. I live in Kharkiv and work mostly in Kharkiv. I also work with Dylan here to do
Guy on the right?
subtitles, things like that. Work with journalists, go to the front line.
Yeah, he's nice. He's nice. He's a nice man.
That's me.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm Rick the Ukrainian.
I heard he treats mothers real nice.
I also dub the interviews with Russian prisoners of war made by Zolkin and Karpenko. All rights belong to them. And also I am initially from Makivka, which is Donetsk neighboring city, and I left in occupation.
I need to switch up my number of days. I passed 100.
So here I am. I also raise money for the armed forces of Ukraine. That's what I do. Thank you.
I passed 100.
They picked me up on the street just now.
Yeah, I'm used to
I don't have a platform.
sweet cola version.
I have a Twitter, I guess. I'm from Western Ukraine, and I was involved in politics since like 2003 when I was a little kid. I was watching the news and all of that, and I'm familiar with
Real one is not sugary enough anymore.
2018, 2019, so I felt betrayed by him. By his text.
That's going to be the next question.
He wanted to take it out.
Yeah, he was already going on the questions. I appreciate the eagerness.
Here's the mother.
Yeah, think of like actual cola. But you put some sugar in it.
The reason I'm on cake because we
That's what it is.
Unfiltered, Russians exploding to bits, my favorite type of stuff.
Of course.
Of Ukraine, and yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
He had to.
Some people in this room don't have too much familiarity with Hassan's content, and some people in this room do have familiarity with Hassan's content. Ken, let's go around the room and see what familiarity everybody has. Anna, you've brought Hassan up before in an interview before on my channel.
Yes. So basically, I discovered there's such a thing as political streamers and YouTubers when this war thing started in February, and I wanted to see what people are saying in the West. Will they support us? Will they not support us? What's their opinions about the situation? And I stumbled upon a bunch of people like Tucker Carlson type of people, but also Hassan, who is a little bit famous. And because of that, I was very enraged of what I heard of him saying about Ukraine, specifically about Russian speakers and specifically about Eastern Ukraine and all of that.
What part of Ukraine are you from?
I'm from the East, Kharkiv. I was born there and I live there now. So I mentioned to you, to Dylan Burns, I mentioned that I hate what he said, basically, and I was very offended by it.
So going into this, you already know going into this that you disagree with
yes,
what you guys
pretty much, yeah.
Could I ask you, Topson?
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of Hassan's content because it's very painful. However, I am familiar with some of his takes. I don't think I watched it out of context, so I'm not sure that I'm pretty sure I'm not misrepresenting anything. I don't agree with what he says. I don't believe Hassan even agrees with what he says. I feel like he's a big grifter, and he just, is successful, and it's a big grift for him. So his fans listen to him, which is probably the worst part of that community is his fans, not even Hassan himself. But
okay, so that would say that
Could
you
see
two are
that.
definitely in the I'm not a huge fan of Hassan crowd going into this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to not the opposite
Classic
end of the spectrum,
cola
but
we
a different part of the
used
spectrum, because I wanna
to
get
in
your
Europe
first
is
opinions on
Mexican cola because US
You
cola is super
actually
sugary.
used to be a
Wait, but like
Hassan
Sky
content
Cola is like
creator.
extra sugary. Is that like,
Yes, I was watching Hassan since like 2018.
is that the US recipe?
He actually
Who makes this
made
shit?
me not think that leftist is a dirty word. I was like swayed from liberal
Says
to
Bosna.
leftist by Hassan.
Says
became more
Bosna.
pro-worker
Bosna
and
makes
all
it.
that, and I felt
Maybe
that he
Bosna
betrayed
has the
when,
USA
he
recipe.
took the side of the fascists, or like pretended to consider both sides and all of that. I was really hoping that Hassan would, I guess, analyze the situation.
What's
about
the worst
Ukraine
thing Twitch
war
can
and
do? Ban us?
Think about it, but now.
Cowards.
the only thing Hassan analyzes is how his chat reacts to what he says.
Yes,
So,
I believe.
It's crazy, Chad. Oh, sorry.
So you would say that
XQC.
you say as a fan that the war made you no longer enjoy his content or watch his content?
I don't. I can't watch his content. Sometimes I watch like a podcast with Ethan to see Ethan.
The Leftovers podcast.
The Leftovers podcast. Yeah, to hear his bad takes, maybe to hate watch it, and to commend Ethan Klein for actually challenging and doing it pretty well for a person.
The podcast is that, by the way. I don't know if you guys follow the situation, but the podcast is that when Hamas attack on Israel happened, the podcast was already in quite a bad situation. There was something with Ethan being quite supportive of Israel's right to defend itself. Hamas, of course, I need to differentiate between Hamas Abi and just Hamas overall. But yeah, he was doing his usual grifting stuff, sent his community over to bully Ethan. Whole drama rose. Basically, the podcast is that. I don't know if you watched it. I've never watched it, to be honest. I try not to watch. I don't even know how I would call it. The type of content. I'm just trying really hard not to watch it. It feels like the magic of the podcast was for most people Hassan getting his opinions challenged. But he's not a person who holds opinions honestly, so you can't challenge his opinions because he doesn't hold them from some sort of a strong position in the first place. He doesn't really care. So I'm kind of happy it's gone, to be honest.
Person who doesn't know that much about the conflict. So props to Ethan, yeah.
I definitely need to listen to Ethan.
So you will later. We have close to that.
Also.
Rick, are you familiar with Hassan's content? Have you ever watched his stream? Anything before today's interview?
No, I see him for the first time. I'm gonna see him for the first time. I mean, not him, but his videos, right? And no, so it's gonna be just a clean.
Virgin.
Okay.
I don't know anything about him.
So since you're the only one in here who hasn't seen him before, I should say this, and for the people who aren't familiar at home, Hasanabi is a socialist Twitch streamer. He's the most popular Twitch streamer who covers politics on the platform. He gets quite a lot of viewers, both on YouTube and on Twitch. I don't know if it's true of every single like online political commentator, but he is often referred to as the most popular political streamer. Period. So the most popular political streamer, political.
Tate actually does like podcasts like that. I thought that was a meme. I thought that was his meme for Twitter. He actually does that. Like everyone else chills in their bedroom and he's there like that. What's that? Who's that?
Like streamer, period. So the most popular political streamer. So
Cute.
That's why I wanted to bring you guys around today to see the type of commentary that we're getting from this person and to react to it. Okay, so here's a picture of him. You guys have been looking at it for long enough. So let's move on to the first clip. So Hasanabi, leading up into the war, we're talking about mid-February, he started increasing the amount he was talking about the war in Ukraine. Before then, he didn't really talk about it much, if ever. But as the war became closer, he started to talk about predictions from the American government that the Russians would invade. And I wanted to show you guys a few highlights of that to show you when the first critiques from some Ukrainians came forward for Hassan. Now, this, I don't want to focus on this for too long because this is somewhat old news, obviously. But I felt like if I didn't include this, I'd be leaving out some vital context of the history of his commentary on the war.
What's up, folks? I'm live and alive, and we got a lot to talk about. I was right about Ukraine. That's right. War is not imminent. Oh, shocked to find out. Anyway, we're gonna talk about that stuff, so get in now. Possibly a new React series as well, so you don't want to miss it. I think maybe I'll tell my editors to do this, but I think I'll just change I'll change this every day to Ukraine has still not been invaded by Russia every day. To make sure that the wishes of these fucking weirdo, like, I'm actually a sock them and you're a fucking tanky idiots on the internet. Will, yeah, change it to Russia still has yet to invade Ukraine. And it's like day 11 at this point, you know what I mean? That I don't think there is war that is going to happen because it would fucking destroy Russia. And I still believe that. That's true. Okay?
Yeah. I like the part where he says, I was right about Ukraine. I bet he never repeated those words ever again.
Let me go off on that, yeah.
Right.
The best part is somewhere there, I remember this clip. I actually saw this one, the first one I saw.
Okay, there's a few more clips where he's predicting before
أيام ما يرحز life.
We'll have a moment to talk about it.
You care more about being like, yo, Hasanabi, you were fucking wrong. I hope you all get drafted, dude. Hey. I hope you get fucking drafted. Wait, are we going to war? No, but I hope they fucking drop your bitch ass, your fucking pasty little bitch ass into fucking Luhansk, okay? To defend Ukrainian sovereignty and its fucking borders, you dipshit. I don't want Ukrainians to fucking die. Okay? But you can.
So those are the clips of him predicting what was going to happen with the war. Do you guys have any initial reactions to his predictions about if the war was going to happen?
Oh yeah. So I think it's the funniest thing to listen now in 23 in what the hell is it, September? Yeah. So it's very fun. He was so convinced that the war was not gonna happen and so smug about it. And also the most interesting thing about him in that case is that he continued to talk about it. If I was him, after this blunder, I would crawl under the bed and never speak about geopolitics ever again. But not this guy. He continued to, double down, triple down. And yeah, it's very interesting. I wish I had this self-confidence, but...
I feel like the biggest contributor to his statement there is what America said, because America predicted what's going to happen, and he believes that, like, everything that Hassan says, just look through the prism, is America bad? And it's always yes for him. So America said something, but America is bad, therefore they're wrong. Therefore, I'm gonna take the complete opposite position.
To add just a little bit, he also mentions like people being hawks, people like, you know, war drumming and being like dipshits about it. He basically says like, you people are like making this up, like that you can't trust Western like civilian, or Western like intel. You can't trust that, and Russia will not like do that. How could Russia do that?
Even though Russia did that in the past.
Even Russia did that with Moldova, Russia did that with Georgia, Russia did that in 2014. Russia,
with Ukraine.
Yeah, with Ukraine, Russia did.
Actually, like this is, I keep on waiting to figure it out. The night the invasion report before the war, I keep on figuring it out, trying to figure what he says, because at one point he's like, I wish he gets drafted and I wish he gets dropped into Luhansk. Does he know Russia invaded prior to 2022? Because he mentions Luhansk, I would imagine him knowing it exists means he knows something. Like, I would imagine he knows something. Did he think there was a civil war in Ukraine? Legit? And that Russia didn't invade? Like, what was his... I assume he knew Russia is trying to claim these lands because he wouldn't mention Luhansk otherwise. Or do we think that he, like, looked at the... Nah, I don't think he's the type of a person to go and, like, Google regions of Ukraine and then to try and figure out which ones are closest to Russia, therefore at the most danger of being invaded, and then that he just, like, remembered the ones closest. I don't think he would do that much reading about this. But he knew about Luhansk existing, which means he knew about the invasion happening before 2022, which means that somehow it just seems more weird. He keeps on denying Russia would do anything when Russia already did do something and he must have been aware of it. Long time no see. I took a break for like 2 days. We had a village fair, and also I'm having a birthday this Saturday. So I did like family celebrations these 2 days. It was cool. It was nice. Ate a lot of cake.
That all over the place, but no, of course, Russia
Yeah, breaks are
is not
healthy.
Such a silly thing. It's only the United States that does human, evil, imperialist.
And you know,
thought.
U.S. intelligence has a good track record of being wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, because it wasn't a prediction by the US, it was like actual intel, and there was actual information. Actually, before the invasion, I was coping. I believed that they wouldn't invade because it's too much for them. They would make a bite they couldn't swallow. So I agreed with Hassan on the take. They wouldn't invade because it would destroy Russia. It is destroying Russia.
Yeah, he also makes it seem like people who are saying that invasion will happen as if they want the war.
Yeah.
Which is a very silly thing, because people are saying like, this will happen, you need to be prepared, you need to know that this is going to happen. And instead of that, he presents those people as if they're like, he even calls them like names, people who say that they are like fuckers who just want like the blood of Ukrainians or some shit. When people were genuinely saying like, this is 100% gonna happen. And it's not only, by the way, Americans, British intel also tell this. So yeah, it's just, it's very...
Our intelligence was saying.
Yeah, our intelligence was saying.
Someone like Hassan might say in response to them, like, well, but America with the weapons of mass destruction and all of the times the CIA has lied or America has lied in this way. And so, do you think there's any validity in him being as suspicious or reacting the way he was through a perspective of being suspicious of America?
I don't think so, because there's not a single intelligence in the world that always says the truth. Their intelligence. There's not a single government that was 100% correct on all of the things that they've been saying. But if you're going to compare both sides, like how many times Russia have lied? Every time they're saying something. Like if you're trusting one source over the other, you should show something like, why do you do that? And it's only emotional for him.
Yeah, as Hassan was saying what he was saying, the Russian media and the Russian diplomats were pulling the line about the Ukrainian weapons of mass destruction, the birds, and the chemical bioweapons that target Russian genes, despite most of Ukrainians having a lot of Russian genes. We're not a ethno state.
Yeah, my mom's Russian.
Yeah, this is the same. There's the same bullshit excuse and to invade as the U.S. used against Iraq, but he was he neglected to mention that, I believe.
It's just, of course, every country, like every government, every intel organization, lies to some extent. But just we can't both side this. You can't compare this to, especially when you have precedents of Russia doing this in recent years. Not like in 50 years or like half a century ago, right? But like I said, Moldova, Georgia, Ukraine, it's all happened recently. And where is the surprise? Where is the surprise in them lying and doing the invasions and annexations and occupations and war crimes and all of that? There's no surprise there. My parents are from Georgia originally, so I knew a lot about that. So yeah, it's just people just don't know or don't care. I don't know what his deal is, but
What's wrong with NATO expansion? If majority population voted in favor, would that mean NATO expansion is justified? In that circumstance, NATO is 1000% an aggressor outside fucking force, okay? Russia is not. Russia annexing its own fucking territory that it's had, its own territory full of its own fucking people, is not the same as NATO being like, we're gonna turn our country into a fucking base and put literal fucking military bases and rockets into your country.
So, if you don't, the date here is the 21st of February. For those of you who don't remember, because
that was so stupid.
That was 3 days before the invasion, but it was the same day that Russia formally annexed Donetsk.
Like, NATO expanding because your country wants to become a NATO member. NATO expanding and thus building a base in your country. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure most of us are NATO member country citizens. Like, I don't know if this base took up part of your backyard or whatever. I can tell you Croatia did several military exercises with NATO members on our territory too. Didn't really affect me that much. Like, I'm not sure what he thinks happens when NATO builds a base. Does he think that, like, NATO picks a place in a country and then has to displace everyone who lives there in order to build a base? How does he think that building a military base in a country is comparable to a military invading it and then killing civilians around? How is he even, like, what? You invaded Finland and Sweden? Oh shit, no. Poor Finns now. Begging for NATO to put bases there. What was that Finnish village? They have a village which is in a quite good location geographically, and they want NATO to build a base there. So yeah, suffering and everything. You want to meet Hassan? So you could ask for a autograph? I couldn't remember the word.
Luhansk, and so that is what he's talking about right now.
I would love to do a thing with, like, printing out a professional print of that monkey Putin face and then getting Hassan to sign it. That's my goal. That's gonna be my goal. If there's ever a TwitchCon in Europe and the man is attending, I need to figure out a way to, like, make him sign that shit. That would be a personal treasure of mine. Hey yo, Hadigan, how's life? I'm doing good. We had a village fair yesterday, ate a lot of cake.
Yeah, we can jump on that shit. The worst offensive thing, and it's its own territory. Excuse me, what is Ukraine even? So this is the imperialist talk for supposedly anti-imperialist leftists, who is, like, all about fighting colonialism and imperialism when only the West does it. But here he basically claims that the territories that are officially, legally, in all senses recognized as Ukraine, is Russia annexing its own territory with its own people. Who are its own people?
Well, he's obviously...
Wait, here's when it comes to Hassan, having no problem of saying Putin bad. Here's my thing on it. I think Hassan's problem is the fact that he is a grifter, more than the fact that he could be seen as actually evil. in a way that I think he entered this conversation being anti-USA, which is why he gave some of the dumbest takes known to humanity at the start of this. And then, slowly, he was bullied into fixing some of his positions. Not all of them. Not all of them, and there's still a grifting part of him, which is trying to be anti-USA, so it's trying to be pro-Russia. But a part of him has had to adjust. There's like this very, I think I showed it a few times on the stream, very good clip of him saying that he never said Russia had the right to invade Crimea. I don't know if you've seen that. Destiny made a video on Hassan, and it starts with a clip of Hassan saying, "I never said Russia had the right to invade Crimea," and then it's followed by a clip of Hassan explaining why Russia had the right to invade Crimea. Why he saw it as completely justifiable. So basically, yeah, I think his first position was incredibly stupid because he was trying to be anti-USA, and I think then he was slowly bullied into accepting the reality of the situation. He is the same streamer who said America deserved 9/11. Yeah, he is the same one. He is the same one. Which, interesting position. Interesting little position. If he wasn't, you know what's the way this stupid ass thing? If he wasn't so stupid, if he wasn't dumb, if he was properly supportive of Ukraine, which is the victim of Russia's imperialism, I feel like his opinion of USA deserving 9/11 could technically be consistent with his support for Hamas. I'm feeling he could have been actually playing an anti-imperialist in that way. But then, like, he went to suck off Russia because he thought sucking off Russia would make him anti-American, and turns out it just makes him stupid. So, try make him send a photograph of the US soldier. Oh shit, I should try to do that. Man, that would be fucking funny. One of those, you know that meme that Destiny always shares? The one about war crimes. Wait, I have to find it. Israel-Palestine conflict. We talked about it for a bit. I'm usually trying to be more invested in what's happening in, Europe, actually. So I'm trying not to get too balls deep into conversations I'm not entirely knowledgeable about. But, yeah, overall, my view is that... I found a meme. My view is that I support the two-state solution. I think Israel has the right to defend itself against the terrorist attack of Hamas, but also I think Israelis' actions and bombing civilians in Gaza is absolutely inexcusable, and we are right to call them out for it. I don't think there's going to be a solution to this anytime soon. I think that sucks here. The world stage is complex and beyond the understanding of those not directly involved. Yeah, it's it's an interesting thing how many people, like especially when Hamas attack just happened and then Israeli response was expected, how many people would be going around in chats being like, you have to pick a side. Do you support Israel or do you support Palestine? Like, you have to pick a side, It was interesting. I think there's this celebration of a lack of understanding of complex geopolitics that we see happening in real time. And, it fucking sucks. Someone's talking about Palestine 24. Oh, yeah, it's... There was this interesting pattern I've observed also in our dear Vatnik friends on Twitch. I don't know how many of you still watch them. I know some of you viewers that. I got mentioned in some of their chats. It was interesting how many of them immediately switched to talking about Israel-Palestine and then tried to pretend like everyone else moved on from talking about Ukraine. Like, I specifically remember one of the streams we did at the time, like entirety of the stream was watching Arthur talk about Ukraine. And they kept on commenting in this chat about how like we are only talking about Israel Palestine now and we forgot about Ukraine completely, and we genuinely like didn't. There's like interesting thing with social media just turning all of this into a big fucking joke, and just makes me fucking angry. Boomer leaders can no longer hide the horrifics of war. That's true. It's there's something amazing about social media and the way it enabled us to share the perspectives of, you know, our people more. I think there's definitely something beautiful about that. Like how many people you can be following right now from different countries to learn about the situations in their country from their own perspective. It's genuinely beautiful. But also it's given a platform to every single dumb fuck out there, and that is so horrifying. So yeah, while we can no longer hide the horrifics of war, at the same time these horrifics of war are being used by people who are grifting for their own benefit, and I think we're at the stage where we're like not properly equipped to deal with this yet. I think European Union is doing a good job trying to figure this out, but I don't think we are I don't think we are too effective yet. I think I would say it. They just declared war and showed only footage they wanted and wrote their own history of thoughts. Yeah. So it's kind of great to, you know, to have this perspective right now, because previously when you look at like wartime propaganda, for example, right, and how different people were able to dehumanize other groups, right? It's like, oh, look at this and look at the World War II and look at the World War I and look at all those leaflets being dropped by planes, and then, you know, how they were trying to dehumanize the enemy soldiers as much as possible. And that was basically the news you were getting about the other side. But now you can actually look at the videos of the other side and you can actually see, you know, people crying on the street after an attack. You can actually see the hospital bombed and people being evacuated. And I think because of this, the reality of war is being brought closer, but it's also again being weaponized, and we must figure out a way to deal with that. Seeing people, children being brutalized in Europe, Middle East, it's only natural people go, I haven't seen this. What's your opinion? Oh, it's... I'm happy we're having these conversations. I'm so concerned about social media. I'm so fucking concerned about social media and AI and everything. I don't know if you've seen, there was a clip, maybe the only time in my existence I will ever quote Andrew Tate as a good source of information, but he actually showed this one clip. There's like a car in the middle of the street and it's burning. But basically the car was made with an AI. The car was just digitally altered into the video. There's no car. It looks so fucking real and it isn't there. We're just not equipped to deal with this shit. When the Russian invasion on Ukraine started, there was this one video of Zelensky saying that Ukraine has surrendered. I don't know if you remember that. It was AI generated and it was shittily generated, right? But it's easy to say it's shittily generated when you know how to recognize shittily generated AI videos. So many people fell for that shit. Because they don't know. They just aren't ready to recognize that, you know, a video of a man speaking in his own voice is not true. This is not a real video. So yeah, I'm fucking concerned overall. People comparing indigenous issues with Ukraine, Middle East. Oh, was it? I remember that one USA person saying that Native Americans have the right to kill them. It was an American person specifically, and they were like, oh yeah, if Native Americans see me as a settler, they have every right to kill me. Like they have the right to do it, just like Palestinians have the right to kill every single Israeli. It wasn't incredibly weird opinion to see. Especially because, like, realistically, it's almost a mockery. You know this will never happen. It's easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm a settler on this land. If Native Americans want to wipe me out, they have the right to, you know? I deserve it for being a settler. It's an interesting opinion to bring up when you know no one's ever going to wipe you out. Right? Like, you're not actually in danger. It's very easy to pretend to believe in this bullshit while still benefiting from being a settler, as you call it, you know? Like, if you genuinely believed that you were as horrible as you claim, you would have at least left. You would have left. You would have done something. You're not doing anything, and you're just being like, oh, yeah, well, if this horrible consequence happens to me, I would deserve it. You know it will not. It's such a stupid thing to even say. First time it was televised live, an American family sat down around dinner watching TV and seeing the horror of wars first time. Oh shit, really? Oh, I never knew how it worked in USA. That's very interesting to me. Martyr? Why? What's wrong with martyrs? Wagner could deliver an air defense system to Hezbollah? Ooh. US is monitoring talks between the two organizations. You know what pisses me off? Anti-Western side seems to be the one properly dealing with this. And that angers me very much. Anti-Western side is the side supporting its allies. Anti-Western side is the one actually, you know, sending proper aid to each other, sending proper weapons, sending proper amount of ammunition. By proper, I mean as much as they can afford, really. Anti-Western side seems to be taking this seriously. The West itself seems to be not. So I'm not really too happy about this. I'm not really too happy about this situation. I think we are going to see more proper efforts, and I don't want to make it. I don't want to be misquoted, and I know you people are fucking normal and you wouldn't do it. But I genuinely, like, when you look at Iran and Russia right now, when you look at what North Korea has been doing, you know, when you look at all of them supporting each other so strongly, like, fucking Iran sending a bunch of drones to Russia, and then Russia using them to strike a bunch of civilians in Ukraine, and what is Iran going to do? Sending more drones? And then you compare that with West, sending what? Basically nothing to Ukraine, and then also demanding Ukraine doesn't even strike Russian territory? It's like one side here is actually seeing the seriousness of the situation, and the other one is trying to still be jerking off from their high horse. And I'm not too happy for that. I'm not really happy for that. Reply with a Hassan clip. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna do the Hassan thing, you know, when people are like, Vicky, this is what you've said in this clip, can you elaborate? I'm just going to negate it. Just going to negate it, you know. Just going to be like, no, I've never said it. Like, who's gonna do anything? Even if you have clips of me saying something and then clips of me lying about never saying something, what you gonna do about it? You're gonna go to the police? No, you won't go to the police. It's not a crime to lie online, is it? How much influence of propaganda is affecting this? It angers me so much. It angers me. All of this angers me so much. North Korea gave more shells to Russia than European Union gave to Ukraine. We promised a lot. We haven't delivered them. We're fucking cowards. I'm not too happy about that. We're fucking cowards and we're doing nothing. Genocide, ethnic cleansing are bad. I don't know, that's confusing for people. It's because they're trying to, how to say this? You know that, like, based political compass thing? That's what I'm reminded of right now. I need to show it. There's this political compass thing. and it's basically it's on the Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine axis. So it's like you know, if you support Ukraine and Israel, for example, you fall into the pro-West camp. So that's what your politics are based on. It's based on being pro-Western, right? If you fall into the Ukraine-Palestine part, then you are generally against invasions into foreign territory, because Ukraine is a victim of an invasion, and these people also see Palestine as a victim of an Israeli invasion, right? And I think stuff like that is very, very interesting when it comes to this, because I feel you could genuinely hold honest opinions. I just think people aren't trying to, because that's not how existing on social media works. You're trying to fall into one of the most dramatic camps if you want to make viewership, and a very dramatic camp is being anti-USA, isn't it? Western populations are most susceptible to grifter propaganda. I feel it depends on the grifters, because you know it makes me think about Russian people falling for Yaruski. I'm pretty sure he's a grifter. I'm pretty sure he doesn't believe Russia is as strong. You know, he's probably just saying it because he knows that's what Russians want to hear. So he's like, Yaruski, and we are the people of God, or whatever the fuck, you know? And then they just follow it. And I'm pretty sure all nations have something like that. We just see the Western ones more because they are very annoying and very loud, and also because they speak English. I think that's a big thing. They use English primarily as language of communication, so you understand them, and then you know what they're saying between themselves, you know? You don't really know what sort of grifting Chinese people are falling for, right? Chocolate is an aphrodisiac? Yes. Yes. So, haha. Oh yeah, everything is an aphrodisiac if you believe it. That's also true. I've heard chocolate actually is an aphrodisiac. Don't know how much it is. I'm not a chocolate fan. I'm a spicy food fan, and I've heard spicy food is also an aphrodisiac. So, ho. You can't just pick a side. Yeah, that's also true. Picking a side would be choosing to ignore a big part of the conversation. Russian government won't follow what population thinks, or Iran. I think, I think there's a question in both of those countries about how much of the population follows what the government thinks. There were interesting conversations regarding Iran when people were talking about the protests in Iran happening, because they also have a big part of the country believing that the protests are started by pro-USA actors trying to destabilize Iran. So it would be interesting to know how many Iranians, you know, fall into that camp, and how many Iranians actually fall into the anti-government camp. For Russia, though, I definitely think Russian government is following what the population thinks, because I do believe Russian government is, you know, a perfect representation of Russian population. I think it's the Serbian situation in my eyes, basically. For Iran, yeah, I'm like, I know about Europe, my dudes. Make-out parties, I'm pretty sure you're talking about orgies, and like normal people don't really go to those. People who don't like chocolate? I don't like chocolate. I don't like chocolate. Chocolate is sweet, and sweet stuff is ugh. I think I talked about this once before here, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I think I was blessed, genuinely blessed, by disliking sweet stuff. Genuinely, like God, the only good thing he gave to me was me disliking sweet stuff, because sweet stuff is usually expected at social events, and I used to be going to a lot of social events, but they would always be serving you like cookies or cakes or whatever, and I would never eat those because I just dislike them. So a large portion of social eating I could have been doing, I just never did. I'm pretty sure the reason why I was able to stay relatively skinny for most of my teenage years is because I would go to like birthday parties or whatever, and I would just like never eat. I would never eat because they would always serve chocolate and shit, and I just didn't care about it. I figured it once where I was on a birthday party and they carried out barbecue. And I love spicy stuff. I love meaty stuff. So they served barbecue and I was like, yeah, and I ate so much of it. And that's when I figured that like if every other birthday was like that, I would have been fat as fuck. I look at my friends and I see the ones who are like enjoying themselves at every party, and I'm like, that's because God has cursed you with loving sweet stuff, and sweet stuff is everywhere. So it's easy to exist like this. I stay skinny because I want to. Oh no, I stay skinny because I'm too lazy to make food. And when people offer you food, they offer you sweet one. Makeup? No, make-out parties don't exist. That's not a thing. You're online a lot. That's not a thing. I have a friend who doesn't like cheese. Is it like lactose intolerance type of a thing? 90% of my diet is meat. Man, that sounds good. I'm trying to go into that direction actually, because I've learned that I've noticed a lot of extra calories I take in are bread and pasta based. So I'm trying recently to drop bread from my diet almost fully. But yeah, that leaves me mostly with like meat in my diet. So far so good. So far I'm feeling alright. I'm trying to input more salads and like rabbit food in it. But based. I'm gonna switch to carnivore diet just so I could survive on it and then feel stronger than Jordan Peterson.
We're not anti-imperialist, right? Because he
claims he is.
Well, he claims a lot of things, but he claims he cares about Ukrainian lives too, which I don't think is true. But he was like what? I remember at some point he had a USSR flag in the back of
Yes, and the hat.
in the back of his
Really?
USSR, which is imperialistic,
Yes.
was grabbing
No,
all the
vegans are
countries
cool.
around,
Vegans are
and
cool.
every country that was part of USSR except
I'm GG
Russia
with vegans.
hates anything connected to that. Wonder why? Like that was not the best part of the history. And Russia is desperately trying to restore that. They have anti-NATO rhetoric because NATO is the only thing that can actually stop them. The countries join NATO in response to what Russia is doing in the regions, and everyone just feels more and more uneasy. And this is democratic process. People want to be protected because look, we really wanted to be part of NATO precisely for this reason, and we weren't in the NATO, and they still invaded. Right? If not, Russia is saying that they're reacting to NATO expansionism, then why don't they invade NATO countries? Because they can't. And that's what we wanted for ourselves.
Also, can we appreciate that he basically said that NATO, with the agreement of the people, NATO placing bases there is worse than Russia literally annexing, occupying, and chunking off pieces of other countries.
Destroying cities, killing people.
Yeah.
And it was bloody.
It's just insanity. What Russia does is like old school imperialism, like back in the day imperialism, and he somehow misses that.
Well, he would say that he doesn't, and this is something he does say on multiple occasions, that he doesn't support the invasion, and that he doesn't like the Russian government because he thinks that they're authoritarian and very like.
Try changing your diet. That feels like a Thompson joke.
Yeah, but then he starts to parrot the rhetoric and protect them.
They never support Russia. They all say, yeah, the invasion is bad, I don't support it, but we have to look at both sides, you know, Ukrainians aren't saying either, and also America aren't saying. By the way, he was saying like, the NATO, grabbing territories and whatnot, and putting their actual military bases, and I'm like, yes, please, put the bases in.
Yeah, that's actually,
we need the bases, military bases, we're not strong enough.
It seems like the more people we have from other countries on our territory, the less that part is getting shelled. Yep. Like I believe recently there was a whole swath of foreign ministers in Kiev. It was like a whole assembly, not a single siren.
I wanted to ask Rick quickly because you.
Okay, fair. Wait. The haters of vegans. By the way, I do not support hating vegans. We're gonna do a week of streaming just on veganism. Just on veganism, just fully on veganism. That's what it's going to be. Just why veganism okay-ish. Haters. Yeah, it says 24 out of 600. It's actually more. I did 1, 2, 3, 4. I did 100, around 130 days. I'm around 130 days done. But I forgot to update it, so I'll need to fix that. I'll need to be fixing that. But hey, I'm a big part into my way. It's technically going to be like this year, the next year, and then a bit of year after. Not too much, not too much. I am planning to be spending most of my time next year looking for another job. So you know, when I'm leaving this one, because it will be a choice to leave and I want to make the choice, I'm hoping to be going to a better place. I can barely commit to what's for lunch tomorrow. Oh, it's just because my job really sucks. It just genuinely really sucks. I work retail. I hate working retail. It's a lot of work with people. I hate people. I happen to hate people. And also, let's say that this is a time of big political changes in the entirety of Europe, including Croatia. And then these people sometimes present to me their opinions, and their opinions are incredibly stupid, and I have to listen to that. So, you know, I've got a full plan on how to leave this job because I can't handle it. Making out was the predominant event. In the United States. That makes sense. That makes sense, of course. What else? What else? United States probably did it before prom nights. What else do they have? Prom nights? Seniors and bullshit? I don't know. It's one of those USA things. Feels like something I would watch a USA teenage TV series on. Like things that don't happen in reality, just happen in USA. I don't hate vegans. I hate vegetables. I prefer fruits. I have a theory, and I think it's because I think you hate vegetables because you have not tasted them properly prepared. That's the way I see it. Because I used to think I hate vegetables. I used to think I hate salads. And it turns out I just hated the way people in my family prepare them. When I started cooking myself, I actually started loving it a lot more. War Knight, you're going to get banned off the stream if you keep on asking stupid questions. I don't care about your horniness. Isn't this like the reason why you got banned last time from the stream? Because you were horny in chat? I don't care for your horniness in chat. Go cry somewhere else. Do you think liberal politicians caused the Ukrainian war when they spent 25 years dismantling their energy infrastructure in the name of value projecting? I feel like I need an elaboration on that. When you talk about dismantling their energy infrastructure in the name of value projecting, I feel like I need you to elaborate on that. I was just very lucky with every vegan I know being educant. Oh, makes sense. I've met normal ones. I've met quite normal ones. I do think they're okay, to be honest. I think they're fine. Like, I think they're mostly fine. Oil, gas, coal, and nuclear. Yeah, you're talking about liberal politicians. I assume one of the examples you would have is like Germany, for example, stopping their use of nucleus, right? Now, when they say they were doing that in In the name of value projecting, what do you mean by that? So they imported billions of dollars in Russian oil. But in the name of value projecting, what value do you think they were projecting? Unless, are you referring to... I'm trying to figure out a way to understand that sentence. I'm trying to figure out a way to understand this. One way I could see it is if you are asking whether Germany caused this war. I would say Germany had to be more liberals who want to look more liberal than the neighbors. Yeah, but like, how do you think they were pretending to be more liberal by importing more stuff from Russia? How do you think that was them being more liberal? I don't think that was a part of liberal values. I don't think liberal values reside in importing foreign resources. I don't know if that has anything to do with liberalism. Destroying the oil, gas, coal, nuclear. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that has anything to do with liberalism either. I'm not sure that would be connected to it. Like, what liberal value do you think they were trying to project by doing that? I don't think it's a liberalism thing. I think it was a profit thing. I think they could have gotten cheap resources from Russia, so they got cheap resources from Russia. That's what I believe has been happening. Liberal Party dismantled. Wait, which country are you talking about? I feel we are all over the place. Which country are you talking about? Talking about, like, are we still in Germans? Most of Europe? No, that's not true. Which, focus on a country. Focus on a country. What topics? Do you know what topics are not allowed to be talked about here? We already talked to you about your weird little sexual topics. You know that is banned. Like, we don't need to be having this conversation, you know. France, UK, Germany. I could see it with Germany. But like the thing with Germany, I feel we need to point out. Now, I wouldn't need to look into UK and France. Huh. But the thing with Germany is that German population supported dismantling their nuclears until it turned out to be a shit decision. They were GG with it. They were GG with it in big part because the fear of Chernobyl is easily weaponized to get populations to support dismantling nuclears. But like, France is doing okay. France is, I'm pretty sure France is building nuclear reactors. Yeah, France is doing fairly fine. Now when we talk about UK. Croatian government. So we have two sides. Basically, we have the prime minister who is based, who is actually leading the country, actually has power in leading the country. He supports Ukraine fully. So the prime minister is good. We have the president who is sucking off Russians, but the president has no power in the country, so he's a clown, and we have made a horrible mistake in picking a clown, but luckily he can't really do anything too harmful. So yeah, currently Croatian government is quite alright. Croatian people are quite alright. We do have this thing where we went through a war just 30 years ago. So because we went through a war and we had to fight for our right to exist as a nation, we feel the Ukrainian struggle quite a lot. But also Serbia used very much same excuses to invade Croatia as Russia is using now to invade Ukraine. So basically, to be a Croat supporting Russia right now, you need to be an imbecile. And we are bullying those people quite strongly and quite deservingly, and I'm very happy to see that personally. I'm happy to see that support for Russia has no place in a normal part of Croatian society. Of course, there's always going to be some extremists around, but most of them are okay. There's one of two reasons they're left alone. Either it's a pristine mountain or lake worthy of conservation, or people live there. Either way, an industry that should have easily expanded over the last 20 years has instead been torn apart to the benefit of Russia and Saudi Arabia. I don't know if I would blame it on liberal parties specifically, though. I'm not sure I would be blaming it on liberalism, to be completely honest. I think that we have liked the cheap gas, and when I say we, I mean the populations, and I mean everyone who has been leading us. I don't really know how we would separate the parties which pushed us into this, because this has been a decade-long, I don't want to say effort, push. This has been a decades-long push. I don't think you can really blame this on liberalism unless you use one of those very watered-down definitions of what liberalism is in order to put all of our governments that were ever in power into, what liberalism is. Conflict between Croatia and the other country. Oh, Serbia. When Yugoslavia was crumbling, Serbia was losing the influence over the rest of Yugoslavia, because Serbia used to be the strongest country in Yugoslavia. So, it started a war with Slovenia, then it started a war with Croatia, then it started a war with Bosnia, and then with Kosovo, and then Belgrade got bombed. But Serbia used the very same excuses to attack Croatia as Russia is using to attack Ukraine. So Serbia claimed, for example, that Croatia wants to do ethnic cleansing of Serbs in Croatia. Serbia claimed that Croatians are all Nazis and they are going into their Nazi roots. 30 years ago. Serbia claimed all Croats are Nazis and they want to go back to the Nazi roots and they want to be eradicating all of Serbs, stuff like that. So Serbia has to invade in order to keep itself safe. Of course, the arguments weren't true, but, they worked on Serbian population. I think one of the scariest thing about watching the social media respond to Ukraine and Russia is the fact that, 30 years ago, they would have been watching the breakup of Yugoslavia and they would have been falling for Serbian propaganda the same way they are falling for Russian propaganda. So we were kind of lucky with the fact that Twitter wasn't really a thing when we were in a war. Liberal media ran away with a narrative about climate change and carbon neutrality? I don't think that was connected, though. I don't think that was connected. When we talk about getting cheap resources from Russia, that was not really a thing connected to climate change conversation. That was not really the same thing, my dude. We could... Even that doesn't fit. But we could talk about European failed attempts to switch to renewable sources of energy. And then because we were trying to switch to renewable sources to energy, we have not been, we haven't given too much cash money into that. We haven't really upgraded the industry well enough, as much as it could have been upgraded. But man, I would still blame it on seeking profits. I would fully blame it on seeking profits. Because realistically, if it was about climate change worries, we wouldn't been seeking out, cleaner sources of energy, I would say. I don't really know if I would blame it on liberalism. I think I would just blame it on wanting cheap gas. It's easy to get, to choose a cheaper source of energy, because you pay one part of the price in euros and then the other part in appeasement to genociders. So, I don't agree that the technology wasn't there, because we had conversations here, specifically in Croatia, about renewable sources of energy and how we have had projects for decades about building a whole infrastructure And the government just never pushed for them because it was easier to just buy Russian oil. Like we chose to do this. We chose to do this. It was our own blindness that led to this. We were lazy. I do think we could have done it. We were just lazy. Mining bunch of rare earth elements to make thousands of solar panels isn't a solution. I think it's an acceptable effort, though. And definitely, of course, I think the technology would have been improving faster if we went into it faster instead of relying on Russians. Yeah, well, I don't know how much I would blame it on libs. I would just blame it on everyone being very cheap. Everyone being very cheap and very willing to get cheapest resources possible, and, you know, being willing to see other countries fall prey to Russians as a result. It's kind of how, you know, we were appeasing Azerbaijan for a very long time, even when it was threatening that it's going to invade Armenia very soon. And we were still being like, oh yeah, Azerbaijan is actually very, very cool and very chill because they have a lot of oil they could be selling to us. You know, I think it's just us being little greedy bitches and wanting to pay the least amount of money.
Or from Eastern Ukraine as well, originally Donetsk, if I remember correctly. Donetsk. Yeah.
By the way, fun fact, but like here's an ad right under the video, and it's about Croatian nationalistic shirts. So cute. Oh, but I do think renewable sources of energy can progress to a practical, large-scale solution. I do think they can. I just think we didn't want to try. I think we could have. I believe in renewable sources of energy being absolutely possible to be used as a good solution. Yeah, but like to invent the science, you need the funding. You can't, science doesn't happen without a lot of cash money. Scientists depend on funding. You need to be funding them. You need to be giving them cash. You can't really, science doesn't happen without funding. The amount of bureaucracy involved in it, but the amount of cash money needed too, the amount of support needed for these experiments to go through and for these researches to be made. You need a lot of funding.
Sorry, Makivka is actually a neighbor city of Donetsk, so they're like one big city.
So, would you consider yourself
The government actually funds it, yeah.
from there when you left, that you left in part because of the occupation?
Of course, only because of the occupation.
So the only reason that you left was because you were displaced then?
Yes, because I actually lived in occupation, and I know how it is to live under the new Soviet Union, because it is. Because they use all those methods of propaganda, of agitation, of, you know...
Present that idea to the libs.
The human rights violation, yeah. They actually do all that stuff and even more. And the question was?
My question was, what do you think about when you hear those territories, Donetsk and Luhansk, referred to as, you know, Russian people, the people that are still there, as their lands?
It's actually, you know, it was the territory of Ukraine for the last 30 years, and it still is. Donetsk is Ukraine, and saying that Russia is grabbing their territories is a total bullshit, because they are grabbing the territories of what, Soviet Union, the empire that actually has collapsed, and this is total bullshit. People there identified themselves as Ukrainians, especially my generation. We wanted to stay in Ukraine, and if you didn't know that, half of the population of Donbass left to Ukraine. Actually millions, 2 million of people registered, only registered. Displaced people, or displaced, sorry, two words, they actually had the Ukrainian position. At least half of the people.
North Korea can take them.
for the record, if Ukraine was to take back Donetsk, would you go?
Talking about North Korea, by the way, sorry, I'm pausing the video again. But I have to tell you something. Did you know that, was it 2014? Fuck, I forgot a year. I think 2017, maybe. One part of Russian propaganda was saying that Ukraine is a horrible, evil country because it is helping fund North Korean nuke program. That was the propaganda at the time. Kremlin was saying that Ukraine is helping North Koreans build a functioning nuke, because if you remember, every once in a while, the West goes into panic over North Korea using a nuke. And in one of these panics, Russia was playing along and being like, yes, but not only is North Korea going to use a nuke, very, very scary, Ukraine is helping them. Ukraine is trying to help them because Ukraine is evil. And right now you got North Koreans, eating shit. So, cute. Russians would say North Korea is a shithole. I'm pretty sure they still do. I'm pretty sure they still do. Every 140% of fucking Russia would, yeah. China said that it was Russia. It was specifically part of Russian propaganda, because at the time the West was still, there were chances of it being useful in helping Ukraine defend against Russian invasion. North Korea is a decent country nowadays because it's giving them shells. No, I feel Russians are way too racist to be having respect for a country that is not Russia. That's the way I've understood their foreign relationship commentary so far. That, if you're not actually ethnically Russian, they will mostly have strong prejudices against you, which is why they're very easily switching sides, because they don't really care about anyone else but themselves. So they hate Muslims, they're okay with Muslims, they are scared of North Korea, and now suddenly they love North Korea. Ukrainians are a brotherly nation, but suddenly we need to eradicate all people who think that they are Ukrainians. They don't really give a shit, they just care about Russians, that's all. That's the whole thing. I fully believe in that.
I guess yes, but probably, to be honest, not in the first few years, because there's gonna be an adaptation period, an integration period of those
Fuck, I'm
people
trying to
who
open
lived
my
under
chat.
Russian propaganda for 9 years.
Let's pretend for seconds I hate Ukraine. I don't like it. I don't want to live here. I don't like the culture. Yeah, I know. I don't like any about it. I want to live in, let's trigger everyone, in France. The best place, right? So I want to go there. And
Blocked.
I don't invite French people to occupy and tear a piece of Ukraine I'm living in. For me to live in France. What a reasonable person would do, they will migrate. They will move. This is not what Russians do. They ask for people, for Putin to invade wherever they are, because they just want the place they currently live in to become
Oh,
Russia.
that's the one I've seen.
What everyone else wants. This me talking about separatists and genuine pro-Russian people in the eastern regions, for example, right? So yeah, so this not how it works, and I would also like to add the fact that
Frenchy
Assange
lover.
basically called me and Rick specifically literally Russians. In that clip.
We're not.
Yeah, he called us Russians just because we speak, we are from the Russified areas. That were
But that's
forcefully-
Russian propaganda, right?
Yes.
Wait, sorry, I have to pause it again. I saw this one. I was thinking about this one article. Yes. Because I saw, fuck, where was the email published? Oh, fuck, found it. But basically, the article, the way I've understood it, what the article does is they talk about the engines that were used to build this, and then they just link it to Ukraine without having a reason to link it to Ukraine. How do you know? How do we know if they were also made in Russia? How do you know? How would we know? How would we figure this out? Huh? I think I'm Susie about New York Times. Overall, recently, I do think they did a great investigation into what's his name? What's his dumbass name? Arkan and his soldiers. But at the same time, I'm like, She looks kind of French too. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Because she has short hair. I agree. What is this now? Oh, hey, wait. Alexander Turchinov commented, this information is not based on any grounds, provocative by its content, and most likely provoked by Russian secret services to cover their own crimes. Ukrainian government views North Korea as totalitarian, dangerous, unpredictable. This should just even made it. Like, I've read the parts of the article before, so I knew the basics of it. But this is even weirder. It's like Russia worked together with North Korea, and then Russia invades Crimea, and this is where Russian and North Korean relationship became stale? Right? Yeah, I'm not seeing it. They're like, oh yeah, the engines had to come from someone else. But like before this, they mentioned that Russia and North Korea have cooperated. Where is the mention? Yeah, 1992 officials at Moscow airport stopped a team of missile experts from traveling to Pyongyang. And still, North Korea managed to obtain the design for a compact missile made for Soviet submarines. Like, people who already stopped in Moscow from traveling to Pyongyang to give them information. R-22-7 was complicated. Design was difficult for the North to copy and fly successfully. So the North turned to an alternative font of engine secrets. Team's engines were potentially easier to copy. Oh, so then they copied the Ukrainian plans. Plant and Design Bureau faced new headwinds after Russia invaded and annexed Crimea, a part of Ukraine. So wait, Moscow was using Yuzhmash to make some missiles, and then they were supposed to make new ones, but then Russia invaded Crimea, and then they withdrew the plans to make new versions of the missile. So Russia was getting models from this plant, didn't get the new version, but was previously ordering models from this plant And then one of the models was recreated in North Korea. And they just assumed it had to be given by Ukraine? I mean, this whole thing is just like guessing, isn't it? Wait, so analysts who studied photographs concluded that the new rocket motors derived from designs that once powered the Soviet Union's missile fleet. So it's relatively old designs that once powered Soviet Union's missile fleet, right? And already references were made by the Secretary of State as to China and Russia being North Korea's principal economic enablers. How did Ukraine even get into the game here? Russia had these engines. Yes, the factory remained one of Russia's primary producers of missiles even after Ukraine gained independence. Six years ago, North Korea tried to steal missile secrets from the Ukrainian complex. 2 North Koreans were caught. UN report said the information they tried to steal was focused on advanced missile systems, liquid propellant engines, spacecraft, and missile fuel supply systems. And here they say Pyongyang tried again, so they tried again to steal them, and yet it is presented as like, oh, Ukraine helping North Korea build nukes. When the article itself is mostly guessing, and there's several theories, some of them being Russia could have just given the fucking designs themselves because they owned these goddamn missiles, and the other one being that, hey, maybe they just tried to steal them again. But no, we have to pretend like the most possible theory is that Ukraine did it. Website says the company does not, has not, will not participate in transfer of potentially dangerous technologies outside Ukraine. Yuzhne, Yuzmash is the civil department. Yuzmash does meat grinders. Yuzhne does engines. Ah, makes sense. Huh. I would need to look into that. It's weird. It's a weird thing still, though.
Exactly, thank you. That's
I think we were kind of unfair. I think we were very, very fucking unfair about the way we talked about Ukraine in Western media all this time. Holy shit, man.
The repeating of Russian narrative, because that's what Russians do. They say those people are Russians. They speak Russian, that means they're Russian. They're part of the Russian world. This is the imperialism, colonialism that this guy supposedly hates.
I remember a clip recently showcased on the internet by a military man, Ukrainian military, and he showed that Russians occupied a village, and the first thing they did is they renamed the village from Ukrainian name into
Yeah,
a
right.
Russian name.
Yeah.
Like they weaponized the language, and they basically, and that's part of what happens, right, in the eastern regions. I'm sure you remember that there was a heavy push on Russian language, getting rid of Ukrainian language, and they're really, how many Ukrainian schools there are in Russia? 0. And they're pushing this thing with their language, with their culture, because then it is easier
Satan.
to grab
Why?
that ground.
Yeah, that's what they did historically.
Yeah.
They destroyed
One stage to like look at it.
Which Hassan perhaps doesn't know. In Eastern Ukraine, most people speak Russian, not because
Were there
they're
like
supposed to,
different
but because they
universities,
wanted to.
all with
It
one
was not a
stage?
choice, it was a
So if you
political
cooperated, you
action
could
started in
build
Russian
the
Empire
entire
days
engine.
And continued to the Soviet Union as well. So schools were Russified, everything was in Russian. If you spoke Ukrainian, you were like pointed figures and called rural, unintelligent.
Yeah, kind of
dumb.
cool though,
Yeah.
kind of
There's a
cool.
bunch of movies from Soviet times where Ukrainian language is being laughed at. Like if
All
you're speaking
confusing for
Ukrainian,
laymen.
He had a decent job.
You were uneducated
For example,
or
my
something.
father didn't know Russian when he came to Kharkiv, and he had to learn.
I
it
think
because
there's a
he would
part
never
of
get
like
a
these
decent job
technical
whatsoever
informations that is
without
way too
knowing the
hard to
Russian
remember.
language. Without speaking Russian, you are not seen as a proper
Unless you're willing to go into like deeper topic of economy of Ukraine itself.
So, by a count of hands, how many of you grew up speaking Russian?
Like the basics are GG to know, right?
So 2.5 of you guys grew up speaking.
My family was Ukrainian speaking, but then I was moved to town. Like I grew up in a village, and then I moved to town.
Hey,
with my
village
mom,
person.
And it was like then most of my life I spoke Russian.
Okay. Sounds interesting. Then let's keep going because this is still the first clip.
Yeah, I think we're getting along.
One thing I'll add, just to summarize.
When you talk, it might be better for the audience.
So you couldn't hear me probably.
It was just not as good, but it'll be fine.
Okay, so just to summarize, I left
Car motorcycle shit fact.
only because of Russian occupation. That's it. Let's continue.
Throw the question marks all you want. I don't give a fuck about the Ukrainian constitution. I don't give a fuck about the Ukrainian border sovereignty that some of you dumbasses are fucking talking about like you're like a 3%er about for Ukraine. Okay? It's so stupid. Crimea is not the same as Kiev, however. Crimea is not the same as the rest of Ukraine, however.
Is this the clip?
Ukrainian territories have a lot of fucking Russian people living in them because Ukraine, and just like Crimea and much of the rest of the fucking country, was a part of Russia, was a part of the USSR until not that long ago, okay? People's parents were alive back then. So obviously, there's a lot of fucking rich people living there. So if you have, but like, you feeling bad about the Crimean annexation does not change the reality of the Crimean annexation being a completely justifiable fucking act by the Russian government, okay? So that's it. That's fine. And Hitler invaded countries based on Germanic ties at first? Yeah, dude. Talk to me when he's fucking throwing Ukrainians in a fucking... What are you talking about? Talk to me when he's throwing Ukrainians at a concentration camp, okay? Hitler wasn't fucking bad because he decided to invade Austria. He was bad because he was fucking killing Jews, okay? That was the problem. Really? He wasn't like...
Where's that, I
he wasn't
think?
like, oh yeah, we're gonna fucking annex territory with like Germanic people in it. That wasn't the main problem with Hitler, I think. That was like maybe eighth down the line.
Oh yeah, I think it's 8 down the line.
That was a lot. Who wants to continue?
Oh, you did that to me.
I'd just like to say that, again, he parrots Russian propaganda that we discussed just now by saying that Ukrainians who speak Russian are Russians, and that for some reason justifies it. But the main point I hear...
AK-40 74 replicas in the car motorcycle shit factory.
Basically his statement. Because there was a lot of agreements on the sovereignty of Ukraine. There was every country in the world recognized it. There was specific agreements between Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine when Soviet Union collapsed. Is that a non-aggression pact that we're never gonna fight each other. Then there was additional Budapest memorandum that kind of spoke about the same stuff. Him saying all of that just completely shits on all of those agreements. So like what? We should just sign documents and not do anything with them? And it seems like the only countries are the Western countries who actually keep their word. And this is why Ukraine is receiving...
Wait, I'm getting this. Like Kalashnikov Concern is the current name, but it was known until 2013 as the Izhevsk machine building plant. But that's what I'm getting when I Google? Is that what we are looking for? Assault rifles, sniper rifles. No, this is just like gun shit. But what was this one doing then? First years? No, I guess this is a completely different one. This is just rifles? This is just a ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Oh, here he is. Or? No, firearms. Zod. Oh, this one. That looks like something a Balkan person would drive. Like you make him slightly brown. And it's probably one of the bikes I see in front of the Birtio. They have heel lubrication. They have it's two similar names. It's two similar names. From passenger cars to high quality machine tools and weapons. Okay. Okay, so they were making weapons and then they started making cars. Moskowitz? And then there's also his match. Oh, there should be one. There should be one. Isbet. There should be one. There should be only one E group. Just one E group. Too many E groups is a problem. Only one should be existing.
In part, why Ukraine is receiving a lot of support from Western countries, especially like UK, USA. Those were the countries that were part of agreements that pledged support. So,
fuck Bush Senior, by the way. He pushed that for too hard. I oppose the denuclearization of Ukraine.
Inside,
right? I'm sorry, but yeah.
Just the amount of disrespect in that clip is just staggering. First of all, he doesn't respect us as a country whatsoever. So it's our sovereignty, our borders, doesn't care at all. So he assumes, like a colonialist he is, that if you used to be a colony of a country, you still belong to that country.
Ratata plant and brr plant is the same.
Self-determination guy, decolonialism guy.
Wait, but ratata this? This one? This one and this one. This one? This one now used to be this one, and this one used to be making this one. So the same plant, the Kalashnikov group, that makes brr, made this. So like same plant. Brr and Tirkizno vehicle. Same plant, same thing. Now why? I mean, I know why. It's just... How did you know?
Decolonize people, yeah, freedom.
I wish I knew that. That's a fact I'm going to remember.
No, it doesn't care about Austria that much.
Loud and noisy, true.
That comment. He basically says that they're Germanic ethnically, which basically makes it not a big deal that Hitler invaded and annexed it.
Because a lot of Americans don't know what the Crimean annexation has been like. They kind of checked out after it happened.
I don't know what 50 tsetse means. 2 cylinder. Also can kill you at your 20s, true.
2014. What has the Crimean annexation been like for those of you who know people who have either lived through it or have been paying attention more than, you know, other people?
Well, basically, I know a bunch of people who escaped from Crimea when this happened. And
Dude, by the way, it's like it's 9:30.
To be honest, if we speak about
Have to be leaving soon.
Let's say people who like Russia or liked Russia the best, that would be Crimea. Mostly because majority of people are Russian there ethnically, which Hassan mentions. I don't know if you showed this clip.
I'm sorry, I don't want to. I don't think you should say ethnically because a lot of Russians were sent there because they had a lot of military bases there as well.
Yes, but
because of the deportation of ethnic
Yeah,
people.
that's what I'm going where.
Yeah.
So right now, the last time we had like this demographic, 60% was ethnic Russian in Crimea. This was the result of the genocide and deportation of Crimean Tatari, who were native people there, and because of that, they pretty much moved Russians there, and it became Russian majority, which is one of the ways Russia uses their population to have a cultural leverage and influence in certain area. So yes, most people there were not exactly like
So they're not
Ukrainian. They're ethnically Russian.
Well, they are Russian, but they're not ethnic to the Crimean.
No.
Yeah, not
Their
native.
ethnicity
Not
is
native.
Russian. They are not native.
Okay,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so they were moved there, and because of that, of course, there's a lot of Russian like allegiance there, and many people were pro-Russian in a sense. But at the same time, liking Russia and is not the same as wanting to be part of Russia. And he said to Ethan that supposedly it was rigged, and supposedly he adds those words just to make himself an out. Yeah, but that's another story. Yeah, basically Crimea is justified in his words, right? Specifically because of the Russian majority population there, which again is appeal to ethnic arguments. You can't annex Mexico, can't annex a southern state where there are a lot of Hispanic people.
Texas.
He would not use this logic for any other country. He only uses it for us because he doesn't respect us and doesn't see us as a country.
May I add my reaction? What I've heard,
and then we'll keep going.
Yes. What I've heard is a person who doesn't ever consider happening this to him. Like, he never considers that this might happen to him in USA.
One quick question, and I don't want to stay on it too long, but do you guys believe that it's hard for Americans to conceptualize what's going on here due to their relative security?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
In some part.
Like, I am further, I am more critical as of now.
Wait, you'll never finish. Now we have to finish the video. I also have to sleep. No, I really want to finish my Patreon thing with like good news for tomorrow. So I would have a bunch of good news for tomorrow, so I can force you to learn very important facts, like for example how a Romanian cat won a very fancy award for cats. Look at it, it's the prettiest cat. It was the prettiest cat at the awards, and it looked like this, and it has like cheeks, and it won the award, and it's a Romanian cat. Okay, good news. That's a good news.
Now, I am more critical of the Russian actions of yesterday than the American government is, okay? Just understand that. I am more critical of the actions that took place yesterday than the American government is. The American government that was agitating for war and said, banging the war drums, banging the war drums, banging the war drums, literally non-fucking stop, saying like Russia's gonna murder babies, they're gonna eat babies inside of Kiev. They're ready to eat babies, they have a thirst for blood. They have a thirst for blood. Those motherfuckers have now turned around and been like, okay, well, maybe this is not an invasion because technically they invaded 8 years ago. So maybe it's not an invasion.
Who the fuck said that?
Like, this is the actual.
Who the fuck said that?
The actual legitimate fucking invasion in comparison to the past 8 years of like Tim Pool after that 49 state landslide.
So he said this was the legitimate invasion, the annexation of Donetsk and Luhansk.
Great cat. No, right. It doesn't have an Instagram profile, by the way. I looked for the cat's Instagram. It doesn't have Instagram.
Babies, they did rape babies. So just to correct us on there.
Also, he made the point he made it previously and here as well. He said that, talk to me when Russians start throwing Ukrainians in concentration camps. Hassan, what say you? I mean,
the prisoners camp,
what say you? Like about Bucha, about Yagidne, which was literally the camp.
About
about all of that. Please do tell. What's your opinion?
I would assume, I believe he has condemned those types of actions.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm going to push us forward because they're still on the first clip.
Yeah.
I would look like Tim Pool after that 49 state landslide.
I love it so much.
If,
how should it? Oh, wonderful.
Currently happening on Kiev, and like Ukrainians were being murdered left and right at this moment. I would be that way if America was like, we're going to the full-throated, this is a full-blown invasion, and yet it hasn't happened. At this point, I have a more aggressive stance on Russian troops inside of Ukrainian borders than the American State Department does.
So how do you pair up with
I like
that?
how he just defaults to America bad every time. It's just like,
Gotta push it.
okay, we're gonna talk about Ukraine, but first, America was fucked up.
Yep. Yeah, he does look kind of silly, won't you all say, about the bombing comment?
Not the first time he's wrong.
Yeah.
It's literally like they're doing it for.
Ah, thank you, Rick. I have to go take a shower. What is that? What is that? Why is he like that? He looks like that one actor. Who's the actor? You know the actor. You know who he is. Oh shit. Why do they look depressed? Why do they look so sad? They look so... It's like exhausted from living. Look at this. Oh. That makes a lot of sense. Solved the sadness thing. I'm a whitelist your mom. How the fuck do you do that? They're going to show me the shittiest ads ever. I'm going to see some feet smelling ads. What's the name of that dude? I have to remember the name of that dude. There's a dude, and he does movies, and his face is very this. His face is very... very this. Oh, fucking ridiculous. Look at him. War effort. You mean like the current situation? What's happening currently? Basically, lots of talk. I don't believe any sort of new big breakthroughs have been made in the last... Okay, I did have a break, to be fair. I had a break for 2 days. So I don't know what's new for you and what's new for me. But I don't believe any sort of big, huge breakthroughs have been made in the last 2 days. 2 to 3 days. I have seen lots of conversations about Western uselessness. There was the Times article being published recently, which quite interestingly quotes Arestovich, presents him as the anonymous source who is shit-talking Zelensky around. That is the most I've been seeing lately. Zaluzhny posted 2 articles. I have them saved. I still haven't read them. I've actually planned to do it this evening. But I know they are on about how West must be helping Ukraine more. The West must wake up and the West must help more, because as long as Ukraine has to fight this basically by itself, the situation will not go well. Yeah, Avdiivka is still being under attack. I don't know if there was any big movements there. I know the situation is very serious, of course, because Russia is using its advantage in manpower to send a bunch of human waves. Meat waves. I don't know if there has been any big changes in the maps. Volodar, oh shit, yeah, that too. But yeah, I haven't seen any big changes. I did see what exploded recently. What was exploding? Was it on Crimea? I've seen some explosions happening. Where did I see them? I saw them, I don't know where. Oh, there's something burning now. There's something burning in Russia right now, apparently. Have you guys seen that? Who saw that? Who saw this? Hour ago? Perm. 3,200 liters of fuel burst into flames. But what did I see previously? Who the hell knows what I saw previously? I saw something burning and I was like, yeah. Oh, Sevastopol was also burning a few days ago. Nice. Nice. Okay, that was good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Kursk region I'm seeing. Oh, occupied area of Donetsk. I've seen that. I've seen that. So yeah, lots of explosions happening. Sternenko has been threatening a lot of drone usage and has been promising us a lot of drone videos. So all of you, my fellas who have donated to the man, I hope you are fucking excited for it, because I can't wait for him to you know, show what we have contributed towards, and I'm hoping that the effects are as dramatic as possible. I'm hoping we get some good shots.
Fucking W tour. They're like, yo, we're gonna predict the misinformation of false flag. Dude, okay, solve it. Solve the problem. What the fuck are they gonna do? Are they gonna go in? Are they gonna fucking fight back? Are they gonna like actually fly planes into Ukraine? Are they gonna send in the 6
I wish.
at the fucking border of Ukraine? Non-believers like you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they got this one fucking. They got this one. Okay. At this point, if you are in a position of fucking power, you had every opportunity to fucking exhaust diplomacy. Instead of fucking endlessly being like, this is a war that's gonna happen, this is a war that's gonna happen. Okay, then fucking try to solve it.
Well, I would like kind of agree here, except like I would agree on 50% here.
Yeah,
because
based.
I believe that there should have been a stronger stance pre-war, and if that would be strong, it could potentially avoid the whole war. We don't know that, of course, and I don't think it was diplomacy. I think it would be like specific actions, sending weapons, perhaps even sending troops to prevent
More weapons
the war.
than they did. More than
I mean, sure.
Yeah, more
like,
than the javelin.
resolve,
Yeah,
basically.
or saying like even like pledging, like saying we're gonna send you like heavy weaponry, artillery, tanks. We will never back down. The same way they like Biden says, not an inch of NATO ground or something.
I feel that's because Hassan and Trump both don't have an idea of what was attempted previously to stop this war. Like, I'm pretty sure both of them don't really know what was already attempted. It's like when people talk about Minsk deals, but they don't know what the Minsk deals were. You know, they will be like, oh yeah, Ukraine really needs to try diplomacy, Ukraine really needs to sit at the table and negotiate with Russia. And a normal person hears that and goes, why? So they can make Minsk 3? So Russia can fuck it up again? Like, why? Why would you try to negotiate again? It failed 2 times. 2 times they betrayed Ukraine. Why would you try to do it again? That would be fucking dumb. Every single time that they betrayed Ukraine, they took another piece of land because Ukraine was the one who was actually trying to follow the rules and Russia was the one who was just breaking them. Why would you try to negotiate again, to lose more people again, to lose more advantage again? Because Ukraine was actually managing to liberate some of its lands. I didn't even know about this, but I've seen Ukrainians post a lot about it these days. Ukraine was actually managing to kick out Russians from some of the occupied lands before they were pushed into the negotiations, the whole Minsk bullshit. They managed to liberate a nice little chunk of lands. And then we came in and we were like, hey, Ukraine, want to be nice to your neighbors? Want to be nice to Russians? You know, we kind of fear they might actually be fearing NATO. You want to be doing some little deals with them? You want to be doing some little agreements with them? And then they attempted to do some little agreements. And then Russia broke every single one, plus also used this time advantage to build more defense lines, and now it's harder to break them. And every single time we give Russia a new chance to do something, they're just going to make it harder for us to kick them out in the future. The cost just gets higher and higher and higher, and we keep on arguing to make it even higher for some fucking reason. Just dumbass point.
I feel like that's a very strong statement.
Basically, in 2014, there was not just a slip on the wrist, basically, some sanctions.
Well, that was a complete success.
Yeah, but that was like a slip on the wrist. If that was like the reaction of the West might have been much stronger, even in words, but still more like condemning, promising us like some solid help, assistance, maybe Russia would not have. But who knows, maybe it's like, you know, there's no point talking about
Biden talked himself to Russia because he was trying to negate the damage that Trump did when he fucked up the relationship with Germany and all of that, and the Nord Stream was built, and he was trying to appease Russia. And I remember his diplomatic mission to Russia, Biden's, was like, let's be buddies because China.
I like how they literally tried diplomacy and it didn't work, and this guy is just sitting. They should try diplomacy.
Obama was doing that.
We're going to talk about. He is going to talk about the possibility of instant.
2 years after the war started.
Because 1 and 2
Might is important. Because fuck him.
You could just take the L Ukraine. Wait, no, that's not what I'm saying. America has already delivered the L to Ukraine, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying America needs to fucking take the L.
Of course.
Of course, yes.
That's all of this. There's one more pre-war clip I wanted to show you. 1 second.
So that Russian invasion bad, but America is worse.
America exists. L.
Yeah, big
so
L.
This was around February 15th. Oh, this was posted around February 15th. This is him reacting to a now deleted video by the Gravel Institute. The Gravel Institute was started by former staffers for the Mike Gravel campaign in 2020. For the record, I did actually at one point work on the Mike Gravel campaign. I just say that for biased reasons. In this video, he's reacting to them talking about the threat of Ukrainian Nazism in Ukraine. Now, the Gravel Institute, due to critiques they received for this video has now been removed. I do want to put that out there for the record. But this is Hassan reacting to that and making a comparison to the Mujahideen, which were the rebel fighters in Afghanistan, extrapolating the idea that maybe
We're gonna watch the last pre-invasion clip and then I go to sleep.
Azov overthrowing the Ukrainian government or some type of far-right takeover. But I don't want to put words in his mouth. You can listen to it yourself. Here it is.
For the record, this is exactly how it works in Latin American countries as well. This is exactly how it works in the Mujahideen being armed and being seen as like a revolutionary counterbalance to the fucking the USSR military forces in Afghanistan. Like, we have done this already. We've done this a million times over. This is kind of America's modus operandi, which is why I fucking hyper-focus on this and talk about it, okay?
Ukraine is... So he's saying that he hyper-focuses...
Bullshit.
What do you think about the Mujahideen comparison?
I think that this is a perfectly fair comparison when you don't have a clue what you're talking about. You don't know the situation inside Ukraine. You don't know how these forces are represented in Ukraine. You don't know anything about Azov. You don't know anything about Ukrainian politics and like what people... Like, seriously, Ukraine was fully occupied during World War II by Nazis. Russia, like, it's kind of crazy because we were taught still like USSR history, and that it was said that the whole, like, half of USSR was...
That's what the shirt is.
Nazis were, like, very close to...
I've been trying to figure it out the whole time.
At the map, they were, like, in the regions that are not being shelled by Ukrainian missiles. So, like, Belgorod, no, Ukrainian, Belgorod, like, all these...
Yeah, closer to the...
Yeah, it was really close, but the whole Ukraine was occupied.
In Belarus.
Do you really think that, like, there's a strong Nazi presence in Ukraine? Like, there is a nationalist presence, and I feel like nationalism obviously has bad connotations in the West, but it is only bad, I believe, when you're in a peacetime, because what comes out of nationalism that way is usually like racism against people who are migrating to the country and stuff. You start to find enemies, but when your country is being attacked and there's a very clear enemy, and you kind of, people consolidate under a national idea, so that's absolutely fine.
I can see that.
Conditions, but I completely
Just
baseless.
a little bit of a context. I actually watched that Gravel Institute video before it got removed and lost my shit, because that was 100% Russian propaganda repackaged in English, like word for word, same words, like Nazi, America-sponsored revolution was a coup, was a Western-sponsored coup. Everything was in far-right people everywhere. So Hassan watches it in front of like thousands upon thousands of his viewers, basically nods to it, and then makes the Mujahideen comparison.
Oh, I do want to ask, do you think that when he was bringing this up on February 15th, as a possible reason maybe not to send supplies to the Ukrainian military, or that this could destabilize Ukraine, or it could end up like the Mujahideen with the Taliban, Do you think there's any legitimacy to that concern whatsoever?
Not whatsoever, for the reasons we mentioned, because far-right people, we have the democracy, we have functioning government, it's not like a gangs of far-right fundamental Islamists are running around and, you know, fighting with each other. That's first of all. And second of all, this is an attempt to undermine aid to Ukraine. And so, the most interesting part of it is, he is supposedly concerned that fascists and far-right people will come into power in Ukraine due to the aid and due to the America. But he is not concerned that fascists will come into power in Ukraine if Russia takes Ukraine.
Right.
Not concerned about that whatsoever. Yeah, so he mentions our far-right people and the Western government sponsoring them, but doesn't say a word about what awaits us here if Russia takes over.
And yet specifically said he likes to focus on it.
Yeah, and he says he likes to focus on America, not on the country that is actually invading and killing people in this country.
By the way, the aid that Obama brought and that Trump brought is like, it is laughable.
Yeah,
And he opposes even that. So like javelins are great, but
Russia-
Well, helped us a bit in the beginning, of course, but you know.
Russia really targets Azov. In my opinion, it's because it is and it was one of the most effective units. And it was creating a lot of problems for Russians, especially in 2014. Thanks to them, they weren't able to take Mariupol back then, and they knew it was organized, it was strong, and it could really stop them. And that's what they really targeted that. Of course, like there's history of Azov where it was a guy who initially...
Zelensky has a bad rap. They used that as well.
But he also has bad rap among some other Ukrainians. Like it's not like a figure that is
He's no longer in control of Azov, first of all, and I would say he is I don't know for sure, a Nazi back then in the day, yeah. But they tied to this history. Also, Russian used this narrative very effectively because they tied this whole Bandera thing that is long-standing, like accusations of all Ukrainians being
Nazi.
Yeah, and
a guy who died in a Nazi camp.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that it was like I recently did research on that because I'm always asked about that. And the number of collaborations, the highest number of collaborations.
Wait, you had to do research about Bandera? Aren't every Ukrainian taught from that from school?
I have to know what's up. I'm being asked all the time and calling Bandera Ukrainian Nazi war all the time. So I gotta, play this up. So basically the number of collaborators was a lot less than 1% in Ukraine. Yeah. We're talking non-stop about this Nazi problem, despite the fact that amount of Nazi collaborators in Ukraine was less than 1%, and 7 million people served in the Red Army, and 5 million Ukrainians died due to Nazi occupation. And we have to deal with these people like that, watching videos of us and calling us Nazis. People who didn't suffer from Nazis, by the way, Americans, not nearly as much as Ukraine.
And the people who are okay with us being subjugated and
Fuck that
captured,
shit,
right?
honestly, yeah. Sorry.
That was actually... I feel that was great. I feel that was great. That was a new fact to me. I didn't know it was only 1%. That was very, very new to me. I assumed it would be something relatively low, but that was nice. But yeah, very, very good, very good speech. Holy shit! I look. This is a great time to end our first watching of this video and to go to fucking sleep. Okay. I feel like I need to start watching this, and I don't even know what that is. But it looks cool. Does it have like a million different what's the word? Episodes? Oh, it does. Episodes 26. 26. Not even worth starting to watch. Why is it 26? Why is it so tiny? Why is it so small? Why is it so... I'm used to like One Piece. How many does One Piece have? I start watching that shit every once in a while and then I forget and then I have to come back to it. Where is it now? How many episodes do you have now? Video games, music. No. I want anime television series. Okay, how many episodes do you have? 1081. That's how many. 1081. I keep on starting to watch it and then I reach... What is this? Series? I don't know if I ever passed this one. Oh no, I saw some of Chopper. I guess I saw some of Chopper. I saw some Choppers. I saw some Chopper episodes. But yeah, it's like 26 is loser numbers. Start watching One Piece. If you ever reach the ending, let me know what happens, because yeah, I have no fucking idea what happens. I still don't know what happens. I keep on rereading the manga, reading the first like I don't know which number I reached. Relatively high even. And then I forget. But by the way, I have to leave, okay? Have to leave. So listen, stream tomorrow. I'm actually hoping to finish my good news document. So we're going to be focusing on good news in European Union. And then I also want to finish Top 10 video, because I genuinely think this was really, really good. I think this was great. I think they're a great team. I'm hoping they do more videos like this. I like all of them. They're like really, really good people, and it's great to hear people from Ukraine actually speaking to Western, what they call Hassan influencer. I guess they would, Western influencers on this. So I was really, really happy for this. GG content, amazing content. Going to go, I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to collect all the news for tomorrow, so I have news for at least every single European Union country. So yeah, I'll be seeing you. Drink enough water, rest enough. I hope your day is good. I hope your weekend is gonna be good. So yeah, also it's my birthday on Saturday. Wish me